Chapter 4864. Chapter 4864. Above the void, the land outside the sky. Longfei and Tong Tian have their own side. But at this time, standing still, it does not mean that they did not play. At this time, it is a collision between the road and the road. I saw the body of heaven. The power of heaven and earth surged, like the sword of heaven, wrapped in the power of the heavens and earth, crushed down. And Longfei, at the moment, is also a surging force. 8 large characters wrap around the body. Songxing Avenue. Everyone is like a dragon. At the beginning, Longfei made such a road in the ancient world. So now, the breakthrough is beyond the realm of the realm. He is still a humane world with the power of humanity. Roar, roar, roar. On the body of Longfei, there is a dragon and shadow in the road, and the will of all beings is transformed into a dragon. Humanity? Tong Tian's face changed. At first, when Longfei broke through, he did not show any strength. Even if he only felt that Longfei had broken through to that level of realm, it was beyond the scope of heaven, but he did not know what Longfei found. Now, when Longfei's power is on display, he is completely clear. No wonder the 3 emperors, even if they turn their faces with us, but also to protect you. It seems that they have already calculated what has been done. Tong Tian said quietly. Longfei is not allowed. The performance of the 3 emperors is in his eyes. Do not say anything else. That is, they are willing to fight for the saints for their own actions. They have already shown their determination. At least, this point is extremely gratifying to Longfei. They are the ancestors of the Terran, and they are humane. The 3 can stand in their own positions, and they have already stated that they still follow the humanity. It's no good to say more. Since you are willing to be a saint and a supernatural person, you should think of this day. Longfei said indifferently, the sage is a sage, and the sage is like a hyena. This is the root of oppression and resistance, nothing to do with others. Oh, ignorant! If there is no heaven, the heavens and the earth will not exist. How come Songxing? If a life is free, the sky is not heaven. How come to survive? Tong Tian, eyes cold, Shan Sheng said, a dragon flies. He has not considered this question. Tong Tian said it is good. Any world, any country has its own rules. As today, it is the big rule of the whole world. You're doing a good job. Any world needs a rule. But the rules are not equal to the bondage. It is not equal to the control. The tens of thousands of Frosts are free to race. They're all born free. Why do they have to bear the blame? The sages are high. The heavens are free. The Lingshan is only for faith, and the Yaozu is in vain. This is your heavenly way, so heavenly, what to use? Longfei snorted. If the mythical world is still clear, the system will not give him a task to repeat the mythical world. Do not say anything else. At least the 3 views of the system are still very positive. Since this time, so thoroughly let him repeat the myth. It shows that the previous myth has been decaying and needs to be recast. And Tong Tian, at this time, also chose silence. As a heavenly saint, he is more clear than Longfei, because heaven is not the way of nature, but the way of the Tao. Tao's incarnation of the Tao. There's been confusion. But after a while, Tong Tian looked cold and directly sacrificed 4 long swords. Zhu Xian, the immortal, trapped in the fairy. On the 4 swords, the sword is swaying, and the fairy light shines, containing the power of terror. The heavens are changing, no matter what. It's not until the end of the year, and so on, and it's even more than you can overthrow it. Swords, get up. I sighed and gaze. Booming. The next moment, the horrible sword array directly condenses in the void. The 4 swords of the immortal, the tyrannical, the breath sweeps the world. In an instant, Longfei felt that the whole world was a world of swords. The endless swords are intertwined and very fierce. Sure enough, it is the sanctuary of the killing of the heavens, and the sword array is out, and it is going to squat. Longfei's eyes are slightly condensed. There is a sword in the sky, and every sword has revealed the horrible horror. Longfei even has a feeling. This kind of sword, not to mention Jinxian, even if it is semi-holy, wants to resist, absolutely not easy. Lone Fei shouted. The sorcerer's sword is in his hands and slams. The white bone long sword flashes in the hands of the white man's, which is completely different from the sword light of Tong Tian. However, this does not mean that the demon sword will not work. After all, now the demon sword is already a 5-level demon, and the horror is incomparable. Brush! The sorcerer's sword screamed away and rushed directly into the sword array, suddenly colliding with thousands of swords. Booming. In an instant, a horrible atmosphere was exposed. Even in the land of the sky, it is difficult to bear this power, and one hole after another is pierced by the sword. If you only have this means, stop early. The sword of the Lord is not so easy to break. Tong Tian's voice is cold, and the hand pushes. Boom! The swords are rampant and under pressure. Just between the thoughts, it falls directly on the top of Lone Fei's head. The dragon's face is unchanged, the body is slightly curved, and the invincible punches reunite. Invincible punch. After a heavy drink, Lone Fei's scorpion is as hard as iron, and a determined domineering oil is on the body. As if this punch is blasting, it is invincible. I am invincible. Only I am respectful. Boom! Under the punch, the entire Jianxian sword array began to shake vigorously, roaring constantly. Hey! 3 days in the sky. The eyes are extremely impressive. He also did not think that the means of Lone Fei was so terrible, but his fist had already shaken his sword. Your swordsmanship is not so good. You can't break the sword. It's not my strength, but your kendo is too much. Lone Fei said faintly. As a breakthrough, the benefits brought to Lone Fei are indescribable. Not to mention that the basic combat power has increased by dozens of times, and even the strength of the flesh has also improved. In addition to the transformation of the body in the refining pot before the Dantian power, at this time, under this boxing, it is no less inferior to the Kowloon Royal. Oh, the tongue is fast. You can wait until you break the sword of the church and say it. One step at a time, the shock in the heart, and then the hands move, holding a sword in the sword array out of thin air, and then out of thin air one thorn. Zhu Xian, Tong Tian shouted. The situation is like a broken bamboo, with the body of the saint the display of a sword. Boom! In an instant, Lone Fei only felt that the power of the sword array had a huge pressure of volatility, and even if he felt the scalp numb. Under this pressure, Lone Fei can even feel that the eternal light of the characters has been oppressed and become dull. Good horror, this sword has already had the power of martyrdom. Lone Fei thought brightly. This sword is too strong. That is, he made a direct pass after the breakthrough. If it is to change to a normal person, afraid that it is under this sword, the fruit must be split. With this in mind, Lone Fei did not dare to have the slightest meaning. Kowloon Royal Sky. The last lost sanctions. Without any hesitation, the dragon sword in the hands of Lone Fei disappeared, and the blade of the king replaced it, and then slammed it out. Chapter 4865. Chapter 4865. Lone Fei shot aloud, and the blade of the kings swept the void. Hey! Kowloon roared, swaying up and down, arbitrarily impacting the Tong Tian sword array. And the figure of Lone Fei is also set off by the dragon, and then squats. Falling to fairy, there is another sword in the sky. Booming, Knife Meng collided with Jingguang, and the sword shadowed the sky. Dragon Town. Lone Fei sighed and made another knife. At this time, the Mad Dragon Town boundary is definitely not comparable. Nowadays, the Mad Dragon that has been thrown out is still only 1,000, but the horror atmosphere is several times stronger than the original. A knife swayed out between the whimsical whistling dragons. The incomparable arrogant breath directly suppressed the world. Like this world has not been able to accommodate the existence of this power above the real mania. The best. The sky is orderly, and a sword is produced. At this moment, the Tong Tian sword array has produced 3 swords. Under the 3 swords, the power of infinite horror has completely broken out. Brush the brush. Zhu Xian, trapped in the fairy, the immortal, the three swords have been able to show a sword between the sky is shattered, a gap between the sword burst. The means of Long Fei is also extraordinary, especially after the breakthrough. The power of the eternal character is also fully revealed. Everyone is like a dragon, an avenue of life, and morality surrounds the body of Long Fei. At this moment, Long Fei is the Taoist, representing the common war. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The continuous void was cracked, and the endless sky was trembled at this moment, pale and empty. At this moment, whether it is Long Fei or Tong Tian, I know that I have reached a critical moment. No matter who it is, as long as the means can't keep up, the result will fail. Zhu Xian. The sound of the sky sank. Boom. The four swords come together, and the real horror finally comes down. The four swords of Zhu Xian are condensed at the moment, and the four sword are like a sword. Kids, even when the gods are sealed, they have not forced the four swords to be united. Now they are used to marry you. You can be proud of yourself. Tong Tian said quietly, and his voice revealed a proud and singularity. There is even a slight contempt. It seems that under this sword, it is Long Fei, and it has to bow down. Long Fei's eyes were condensed, and a sense of coldness swept the whole body. Zhongtian hanging sword at stake. Is this feeling? When the four swords of Zhu Xian came out, the oppression suddenly increased sharply. It is that Long Fei feels the shock of the spirit, and even the eternal life of the eternal life has been fierce, as if it was provoked. Boom! The next moment, the eternal life of the sigh of breath directly wiped this breath. Long Fei's eyes have also returned to calm. Is the four swords together? Long Fei has a tight heart. At this time, all the means of Long Fei have been done, and now the fourth knife of the king, how can not be condensed? Therefore, the third knife is against the dragon, and it cannot be used. The only one that is pinned is the special power of the sword. However, the conditions for the activation of the skill of the demon sword are too harsh, and can be activated only if their vitality is less than 30%. Master, use the magic sword. This time I integrated the system. I have checked for missing traps, and emptied the level of the sword before the sword. It is equal to the re-engineering, and the level is directly attributed to the 3 before the power remains unchanged. Level. At this time, the voice of the system sister appeared again. Check for missing traps. There are also bugs on the magic sword. Long Fei stunned. If it wasn't for the system sister, Long Fei felt a little unbelievable. Yes, master. The demon sword has risen to the 8th level in the heavens and the world. After the system was updated, it was redefined as 5, and then on the earth once again swallowed the evil spirit of the cemetery Anubai. It has been upgraded, although the power has improved, but the level has not changed, which also affects the power of the sword. To some extent, the system sister explained. Well, you said so. Is that a system bug? Long Fei asked. I can't tell, because you know the origin of the sorcerer's sword. It is the world of celestial beings. The endless cultivator kills and dies, and condenses on the bones. This power is somewhat special, and has been inactive all the time. The decision to cause the system to rank the item cannot be determined, said the system sister. A dragon flew, and immediately understood. Just like in many times in the game, the hidden attributes of the equipment are general. If you don't deliberately dig, it will not work at all. What about now? Asked Long Fei. In this case, in the face of Tong Tian's sword array, the system sister suggested that she would use the scorpion sword, and she would never be targeted. It must have her intentions. Now I have already completed the loopholes in this area. In the sword, the anti-day killing has also been activated. As long as the master casts, the power may not be weaker than the power of the Devil's Town, said the system sister. Long Fei stunned. This subconsciously looked at the scorpion sword. Level 3. Description. The invincible strong conquers the scent of the heavens, and is the soldier of the rebellion. Skills. Must kill, repaired in the player's 5 small levels of orientation, direct spike. Within 10 levels, probability spike. Special reminder. The sorcerer's sword contains the meaning of the invincible strong, and the opposite is the celestial. It can be used in the whole plane world, and it can increase the power by 300%. 3 times. In an instant, the dragon flew. This kind of data is simply against the sky. System Sister, what does this repair in the end? Is it possible a sword spike? Long Fei asked. Can't kill. Master, Tongtian's cultivation is only detached from the 9th level. But he has already entered the heavens. The heavens are not destroyed. The saints are not dead. Even if it is a scorpion sword, it will destroy its body at most, unless the master can destroy the heavens. When the Tiandao saints arrive, a sword can kill, said the System Sister. Long Fei nodded. Although I was a bit disappointed with this result, at this time, let him know the change of the demon sword. There is still a huge surprise. The next moment, Long Fei's eyes turned, the hands of the king's blade disappeared, and the magic sword appeared again in the hands. How? Is it poor? Long Fei did not care, did not ask, lifted the sword in his hand, straight to Tongtian. Activate. The dragon's mouth is faint, and as the dragon's voice fell, the scorpion's sword was on top of it, and a ray of light suddenly broke out. Then it was a figure condensed and looked at the sky in front of him, instantly scared eyes and killing the sky. Now heaven walks the dog. Although it is different from my world, my generation of monks will never be slaves. Kill, one after another, hovering over the void. In an instant, Tongtian's face was awkward, and he could no longer remain calm and directly became pale. All can only wait for the activation of the Legion. After they are opened, they can be equipped. In one thought, Long Fei's heart slammed, and the killings broke out. This is a saint. If you can smash it, it might be even more horrible to say something. Long Fei thought, full of expectations. You must know that he is now a breakthrough. Even if he is waiting for someone else, it may not be a boss. The only possibility is the 6 saints in front of you. Boss is in front. Can you still fight? Impossible. Especially Long Fei, the old driver of the fun system. Naturally, more clearly, the boss is the source of reborn, and now the boss property of the sky is displayed. It will not stop. Moreover, the power of the demon sword is now absolutely suppressed for Tongtian. He is ill and wants him to die. Long Fei's eyes crossed, and his body suddenly slammed into it. The heavenly sage is right. I've already said it before. I want to see if the saint is really immortal. Today, let's start with you. Long Fei looked awkward and smashed his sword in his hand. Booming. It was another horrible power that erupted and went against the pressure of the sky. Do you want to marry me? The sky was amazed, and the heart was so angry. Under the universal sky, the saints are supreme. Who dares to tell them about life and death? But nowadays, not only is the power suppressed by Long Fei, but Long Fei has also given birth to killing. This kind of speech directly caused the anger of Tongtian's heart to break out. What are you doing? The saints can make a life and death. Others can't decide you are born and died. What logic is this? Long Fei said, with a sneer in his eyes. The sages are patrolling, and they are always on the top. They have always said that the fate of the world is under their control. However, this does not exist for Long Fei. Let's go. Long Fei, can you really suppress it? Can you deal with this seat? Sinking fairy, out. The cold light flashed in the eyes of the sky, and there was no reservation at this moment. The 3 swords roared out between the backhands. Rumble. The sword is filled with the void, and the 3 swords are lore. Long Fei, I have to say that you can become a chaotic person. It is really a means. However, in the moment you shoot this seat, you can only explain that you are too naive. The means of saints is not something you can imagine. The weather is raging. The sky is wild. The 3 swords of the celestial circle are hovering in the air, and the endless killing comes. Long Fei's eyes are condensed and somewhat aggressive. This reversal came too fast. The moment before, it was still shocked by the power in his hands. I didn't expect it to reunite in the blink of an eye, and it was even more violent than before. Not only that, even the light of the boss on it has become more intense from the previous golden light to the purple light. In an instant, Long Fei's gaze is also a condensate. This change is too sudden, and the attack of Long Fei is also abrupt. At this time, the hands of the sky are floating, and the sky is full of sorrows. The whole sky begins to become chaotic, and a vortex of power gathers above the top of the head, which is extremely terrifying. Heavenly, heaven, you know that I am a heavenly saint, then you should not provoke. Since you want to kill the saint, then today, this teaching will let you see the horror of heaven. The sound of the sky is cold. The power of heaven. Long Fei gaze. At this moment, I have already learned why Tong Tian's body has become so arrogant. Because of the power of the moment, the power used is no longer simply a saint force, but a temperament. It is precisely because of this that his body will be filled with purple light. With the emergence of the vortex above the sky, Long Fei also felt an incomparably vast force, condensed out in the void, oppressed in the heart. In Long Fei, I don't know, there are several other battlefields at this time. All the battles stopped at this moment. The power of heaven, the master of Tong Tian, is crazy. Confused, is this dragon flying so difficult, can actually force the younger brother to use these forces? Not good. 3 emperors, this war is a stop. I have to wait for the technique of the heavens. If the heavens are rioted, the whole world will collapse. Too high, the Quasi-Dike and the Yuanshu 3 said, no longer calm. Chapter 48:67. Chapter 48:67. The saints were shocked and incomparable. No one thought that Long Fei had the means to force the sky to such a degree, because the sage's own combat power is already the pinnacle of the mythical world. If you use the power of heaven, it is already a level. Moreover, the power of heaven is generally not to be used. Otherwise, it will cause turbulence in heaven, and the whole world will be ruined by then. What? The power of heaven? Tong Tian brother is crazy. The son-in-law's face is also a change. As a sage of heaven, she is no stranger to this power. So when this breath appeared, the face of the son-in-law changed instantly. Not only her, but even her face has changed. The power of heaven? It seems that Long Fei, no one let the widows disappoint. Winning the corner of the mouth, do not worry. Instead, there is an intention and expectation. Win disappointment? Don't you know the importance of the power of heaven? Do you want to see the complete collapse of this world? The woman yelled. The collapse of heaven and earth means that everything will go down. Any existence under the heavens will become nothingness, and it will be annihilated and become a powder between heaven and earth. How about that? If it is not destroyed, the heavens will not collapse. How can there be a new way of doing things? The wind is totally disapproving. The whole world's horror has not caused any emotional changes, but it is showing the power of heaven and showing a strong interest. Win, you are a madman. If the heavens collapse, you think that you can survive, even if this power can't hurt you, but you will survive without one. The female voice is full of silence. For the wind, the teeth that she hated in her heart tickle, and now I can't help but want to shoot to find out. However, the wind is here. If she is shot, she is really afraid of winning and turning the Tianshan Lingshan and the Yaozu. In desperation, I can only resist the impulse of my heart. What they don't know is the place outside the sky. Long Fei looked at the violent sky, and his heart was also alarmed. Heavenly Sage, Levy Heaven. Hong Ming is awe-inspiring, suppressing the world. The power of heaven is really extraordinary. It seems that the power of the sword can finally suppress the sky. Otherwise, it will not let Tong Tian display this power. Long Fei thought. In his opinion, Tong Tian has already used the cards. Long Fei can force this teaching to use the power of heaven. You are also proud of yourself. Tong Tian body, swords, 4 swords under the blessing of the power of heaven. The power burst out, more transcendental. It seems that every sword trembles, and it will set off the disaster of heaven and earth. Under the heavens, killing the saints means that there is no need to say more. But do you think that you have the opportunity to display it? Long Fei said faintly. The voice has not fallen. a few figures suddenly appeared. Hey, you can't be a younger brother. The younger brothers closed their hands. Brother, don't. Yeah, brother of heaven, this sword will fall. The heavens and the earth will not exist and must not fall. The four people in the top are all there. Even if they are heavenly saints, they can't keep calm at this time. Longfei looked at this scene with a light smile on his lips. Sure enough, everything is the same as he thought. Although this power is strong, the current Tong Tian does not dare to display it, because now Tian Dao is already in chaos. If the power of heaven is exerted at this moment, it will inevitably lead to chaos. By then, the whole world will change and be free from their control. That result is definitely not what they can afford. Hey, at this time, several figures came. The three emperors, Zhun Yuanzi, together with a serious injury, have appeared in this place. A few people didn't open their mouths, watching the four swords that were hanging and the power of the ever-changing heavens and the domes that had gathered into a whirlpool, all sucking a sigh of coolness. It is they who have never seen the power of the saints to use heaven. They, although they have found their own way, have escaped from heaven. But now, seeing this horrible breath, it is still extremely shocking. Even a few minutes have fallen. They think they can fight the saints, and they have no scruples. But now you can see the power of the saints to display the heavens, or you can clearly feel the gap. In particular, winning the hook, arrogant, and now naturally have some blows. You must know that this is only the power of the saints to display the heavens. If it is the power of the heavens itself, they simply don't dare to imagine. Of course, even more shocking is the current dragonfly. Longfei has just broken through to this level, and it has been able to force the saints to exert the power of heaven, which is really terrifying. Good boy, what did you do in the end? Even let the power of Tong Tian, even the heavens, be used. The wind hook slammed. Nothing, I took out a sword and broke his sword. So, it has become now, Longfei said in an understatement. But only in the heart of Longfei, he knows that this is the reason for the endless killing contained in the sword. If it weren't for the sorcerer's sword that was re-repaired, it would not be possible to make such an effect. Winning the hook is a bit speechless and feels a crit. Nothing beats people more than this. A few days ago, before the moon, Longfei still needed them to stand on the platform. But now, as soon as it breaks through, it can crush the saints, and the combat power is above them. Phenomenon. Win the hook and spit out 2 words. The 3 emperors are also deeply aware of the face, constantly thinking. Only Zhun Yuanzi is excited. The stronger the strength of Longfei, the more it proves that this time he stood in the team, he chose the right one, and his heart is naturally very gratified. At this time, all the eye-catching eyes, in addition to Longfei, naturally is Tong Tian. Sister, brothers, and sisters, it is not the teacher who wants to kill the killer, but you don't even know the power of this child. If you change it, you will make a choice. In short, today this son will not die. He will collapse every day. Tong Tian said coldly, very determined, and incomparably affirmed. Hiss. The faces of the 4 people are all sinking, and some are unbelievable. The next moment, a few people looked at Longfei. His face was gloomy. Well, if this is the case, I will wait for this side of the world to be removed from the heavens. You have smashed this because of the application. Obviously, the words of Tong Tian made his heart move. I didn't dare to take risks and give Longfei more time. This is the case. You can also mobilize the heavens if the 3 emperors shot directly kill. Too much told me. The next moment, too, the beginning of the Yuan, the quasi-dike. There was a sudden burst of light between the 3 men, and between the 2 turns, the power of the road directly wrapped the square. And Longfei, at this moment, can feel that in indescribable way Li has come to lift this square of heaven and earth away from the mythical world. Chapter 48:68. Chapter 48:68. Longfei's eyes narrowed, and boundless warfare burst into his heart. At the same time, my heart is also linked to the system. He didn't know if his sword could hold it under the power of the heavens, But if he wanted to destroy the heavens with the current strength, it was not enough. System sister, what do you do now? Long Fei asked. It's not relying on the system, but Long Fei wants to understand the specific power category of the power of heaven, so that he can make the next choice. It has reached the point where it is now. Even if it is Dantian and the coffin of eternal life, Long Fei cannot shrink back. Moreover, Wingo was seriously injured for his sake. If the saint cannot be paid, then even if he is safe and sound, Long Fei will not feel at ease. Master, the power you have now cannot withstand the repression of heaven. But rest assured, I have already figured out how to deal with it. System Girl responded. What way? Long Fei's eyes lightened. Master, have you forgotten? I have been repairing the Pantheon building, and before I swallowed the power of the demon pot. Now, the Pantheon building has been condensed, said the system sister. The power of the Pantheon? Long Fei's heart moved, and a figure flashed in his mind. If the Pantheon really comes back, then the former one will be summoned. What a natural way. It will be turned over with a single palm. Yeah, but the Pantheon Tower is recovering, but it is different from before. Because it was my initiative to recover it, it is already a system product. Now the system is being implanted. When it is completely completed, the main talent can be used. Maybe it can still get the system reward, said the system sister. Long Fei froze, but soon understood. Although said, now has evolved to the ultimate. But the power of the system comes from the supreme plane. If you want to use the power of the system, you will naturally be affected by the supreme plane. Otherwise, the system girl will not take the pains to escape the test of supreme. It can only be said that although the system girl has the means to avoid the view of the supreme plane, his system is already heterogeneous, and to a certain extent, it has been out of the control of the supreme plane. How long will it take to complete? Long Fei asked. Now, Long Fei has no time to consider the supreme. It would be useless to consider more if you couldn't get through the disaster in front of you. Now that it has entered the final stage, it will take almost a few minutes to complete it completely. However, in these few minutes, it is up to the master to figure it out, said the system sister. Long Fei had a meal in his heart, just wanting to speak, but suddenly a system prompt sounded in my mind. Ding, congratulations to the player resurrecting the Pantheon. The system is currently being implanted. The system is being implanted 30%. Please continue to wait. The cold sound of the system appeared. When Long Fei wanted to contact the system girl again, he found that the system girl had disappeared. A few minutes? Then resist. I still don't believe it. The power of heaven is so fierce that it can destroy me in a few minutes. Long Fei gritted his teeth. This situation can only be rigid. There is no other better way. And also at this time, above the void, Tong Tian's complexion became extremely silver, with a touch of smirk, a finger sky. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Suddenly, in the purple vortex condensed above the dome, forces began to pour into the heavenly body. Moreover, with the infusion of this power, the 4 fairy swords in Tong Tian's hands also began to glow with horror. Brush the brush. Immediately after that, the horrific swordsmanship began to rag. Each sword contains supreme power. That power crushes people's spirits and destroys people's will. As if, in the face of this breath, everything is ants. Even Long Fei, at this time, also felt an irresistible force acting on the soul, and it was extremely painful. Hey! For a moment, the coffin of eternal life trembled. Da-da-da-da. The coffin cover of the coffin of eternal life is beating at this moment, and the forces of eternal life are flowing out, expelling this pressure. This is how Long Fei's expression returned to nature. But with the shock of the power of eternal life, Long Fei still felt some pain. Dare to struggle? Long Fei, take your fate. Although these 4 swords are still the swords of this religion, they now have the power of heaven, which is the sword of heaven. Long Fei, under the pressure of the power of the Tao, was able to resist perseverance and was even more unhappy. At the same time, the heart to kill Long Fei is also more steadfast. Not only him, but 2 good people to see everything in their eyes and finally recognize Tong Tian's words. Just breaking through, even the power of heaven can resist. If there were some incidents for Long Fei, I am afraid that it is the entire heavenly road, and the chickens and dogs in front of him will be vulnerable. For a moment, in addition to manipulating the power in their hands, they also blessed their saints' wills to the power of the heavens elicited by Tong Tian. Rumble. For a time, the power of heaven was more turbulent. At this moment, it is no longer just one person who is in heaven, but the 5 sages of heaven. There is only one will of the 5 sages in heaven, which is to obliterate Long Fei. Puff! Instantly, Long Fei's heart sank. The power of eternal life, the soul of eternal life were difficult to restrain. After all, the power of eternal life he now controls is limited. But at this moment, the will of the 5 sages of heaven is all. At this moment, all of them want to set the dragon to death. Without it, it's just because the power shown by Long Fei is too terrifying. If they do not suppress it now, it will most likely become their nightmare. Shameless. 5 saints shot and killed one. No, I'll let the winner win. Let's fight it out. Winning anger was unstoppable, and before turning around, he wanted to return to Long Ting. But before he left, the lead was already spoken. When the hooks stay, Long Fei can carry the power of heaven. Not necessarily you can see. If you dare to move, you are suppressed by the power of heaven. At this time, they must not allow any accidents. Obviously, they are equally frightened of winning. If the power of the Tao is motivated today, the sage will come to exterminate the dragon. If the winning hand is allowed at this time, they will inevitably fall into the passive. It will be more difficult to kill Long Fei at that time. Therefore, at this time, they must not allow any accidents. At this time, Long Fei's complexion became extremely gloomy. Under the impact of the saint's killing intention, the spirits began to faint. Even the power of eternal life was useless. Time and time again, Long Fei's figure gradually began to fall down. System, how long will it take? Long Fei forced the pain and asked. Ding, the current degree of implantation is 80%, and it is expected to take another minute. The system voice fell relentlessly. Chapter 4869. Chapter 4869. 1 minute seemed short, but this time it was fatal to Long Fei. The will of the saints is not a joke, but also the absolute killing intention of the 5 saints. Coupled with the power of this heavenly way, it is all about playing dragon flying to death. In this case, let alone a minute, it is a few breaths, which is a kind of death compression for Long Fei. No, for a minute, I can't carry it. Long Fei thought to himself. Now even the power of eternal life cannot resist. Unless the coffin of eternal life is sacrificed as in the last time, it will not be carried at all. However, Long Fei knew better that the sequelae of the eternal life coffin were not small. Even if he has now gathered the soul of eternal life, it is still difficult to bear the weight of the coffin of eternal life. What's more, we are now facing the heavenly saints. The people of the former Spirit Mountain, compared with them, are not at a level. If the coffin of eternal life is used, it will be more serious in the future. Long Fei was pondering, hesitant. What he didn't know was that he was above Long Ting at this time. When he seemed to feel something, his eyes became cold. The next moment, in one step, walked directly into the sky, ready to enter the world. At this moment, the son-in-law moved. When you blocked this house just now, so now no one should go in. And you also said that this battle, no shot. The son-in-law in turn won the demon. Wynn can feel unusual, and she is naturally the same. Although he didn't know what was going on, he could let the saints of the heavens come together and even bless them in the power of heaven. However, if they win, it will definitely affect them. So at this moment, she must not let the winning hand. I'm going to take a shot. Can you stop it? Ing responded indifferently. For the son-in-law's words, he didn't take his eyes at all. The eternal domineering emperor embodies endlessness. You, the son-in-law said. In the face of winning rage, she really has nothing to do. Strength is the best illustration. 2,000 years ago, Wynn was able to use its own power to impact the heavenly path and cause it to be chaotic. forcing their saints to hide to repair the heavenly path. So now, the power of winning can do the same. And maybe it has become stronger. Remember, don't say that you are a saint in heaven, even if you are in heaven. If the emperor does not want it, you cannot control the will of the emperor. Now, you have two options. One is to push away obediently. Second, just stop me. But how to choose, you can think clearly. If you choose the second one, I can guarantee that I will kill you alive. Ing said lightly. His tone became extremely cold. Win, you are too violent. What you can't do 2,000 years ago, why are you so determined now? Nua's face turned green and red, changing constantly. You also said that it was 2,000 years ago. 2,000 years ago, he couldn't do it. It doesn't mean that he can't do it now. Also, you heard it before. I have an appointment with Long Fei. I want to confirm whether the saint is really immortal. Today, Bundy left you. Just don't want you to be the first fallen saint between heaven and earth. But if you stop me, I won't be able to guarantee what happened. Win slowly, but every sentence reveals an absolute. Absolutely overbearing. Absolutely invincible. Absolute ego. It seems that everything is in absolute control in the eyes of winning. The son-in-law became even more embarrassed at this time, as if with the threat of winning, he was directly in a dilemma. Oh, son-in-law, you should be fortunate that you have merit in the human race. In this case, the emperor is not afraid to tell you that today, no matter how long Fei can do, the emperor must sacrifice the flag of the saint. With determination in his mouth. Suddenly, the son-in-law's color changed, and he stayed directly on the spot. Even the figure of winning passed by his eyes and entered into a place outside the sky. There was no response. By the time she responded, the figure of winning had disappeared. Damn, it looks like today it's innocent. The son-in-law's voice trembled, and she expressed panic and fear. The next moment, her figure also disappeared and went straight into the heavens. At this time, in a place outside the sky, Long Fei's figure was extremely oppressed, and the whole person was scarlet, with a strong resistance to the will of the saint. Useless, give up struggling. 5 saints want you to die. Can you live? There are people who have troubled the road since ancient times. Like you, let me wait to use the power of heaven to kill them. But this is the first one. Long Fei, even if you die, you are enough to be proud. Too good to say coldly. Their will was voluptuous and crushed down. At the moment, the opening was to break through Long Fei's heart, break Long Fei's psychological defense line, let Long Fei sink completely, and give up resistance. I'm dying of your ancestors. Right, heavenly saints, right? I swear, I will be sacrificed today. Long Fei said violently. Looking at the system, there was only a progress bar in the last 30 seconds. With a ruthless heart, he directly called the coffin of eternal life. Boom, boom. Suddenly, the power of eternal life swept over Long Fei's body again, and between his eyebrows, a weird pattern reappeared and then turned into a swirling black hole, continually circling. No, there's a way to do this. This breath is very strong. The brother and his brother should shoot quickly, and he must not be allowed to perform. Yuan Shi reacted instantly and said, Okay, rest assured, under the sword of heaven, he will die without doubt. Tong Tian's eyes condensed, his hands merged, and then he fell sharply. Boom, boom, boom. Wu Xian's 4 swords began to converge, and finally turned into a long sword, falling abruptly. Do not! Long Fei, get out of here! Sword of heaven, force majeure. The 3 emperors were flustered, and between the openings, they used their own power directly and wanted to rush into it to resist Long Fei. It's a pity that their power is not enough in front of heaven. The power of gossip is just the moment when it takes shape. It is directly pierced between heaven and vanishes. Xian Yuan's sword broke into the sky and collided with Tian Dao. But in just one blow, he was directly bombarded. The world of Shinnong Dingjin rotates from top to bottom and wants to protect Long Fei. However, it was just that the stalemate was less than 3 breaths and was directly penetrated by the power of the Sword of Heaven. Everything, Even if 3 people join forces, it is difficult to resist the slightest at this moment. Ground book. Zhang Yuanzi sighed, urged the ground book, rushed into the battlefield, and instantly swept the endless light of the earth, turning it into a shield to protect and hold Long Fei. Zhang Yuanzi, the power of the 3 emperors is not good. Neither is your power. Today, this religion is going to kill Long Fei. No one of you can stop it. Tong Qian's voice fell coldly. Really? The 5 saints shot and killed 1 person. Is this when the emperor is not there? With the emperor here, I will see how you kill today. In a critical moment, when the wind came to heaven, holding Tai A in his hand, he spoke arbitrarily. Chapter 4870. Chapter 4870, a sword comes out, endless evil spirit, endless killing intentions, and the sky is out. This is the sword of killing Dao, but also the sword of Emperor Dao. This sword, accompanied by winning a battle, is a symbol of Emperor Tao's invincible will, and he is the emperor. Long Fei's eyes were all condensed, watching the overbearing wind, and his heart was relieved. The strength of others cannot bear the sword of heaven, but the wind is different. When the winner wins the sword of heaven is isolated. Boom boom. Sword meaning crazy collision. The sword of heaven and earth wrapped up the suppression of the sky, and the earth crushed wildly. After all, this is the will of the 5 saints, and the degree of terror is self-evident. But the sword of Tai A was tough and unyielding, sending out thousands of swordsmanship in the winning hands. Emperors will manifest it vividly. Win, help me fight for 30 breaths. After 30 breaths, I will be sacrificed. Long Fei said in a deep voice. He didn't know if the power of winning could endure the killing intentions of the 5 saints. However, at the time of 30 breaths, Long Fei believed that there was absolutely no problem. Win your eyes and look at Long Fei. Finally nodded heavily. He didn't know what else Long Fei had to do, and it wasn't clear where Long Fei's strength came from. After 30 breaths, he had to be sacrificed. However, since Long Fei said, he would not doubt it. Well, within 30 minutes, the widow guarantees you are invincible. Even if 5 saints make a shot, within 30 minutes, I am invincible. Winning his eyes closed, said Shinshan. After receiving this response, Long Fei naturally no longer had any worries, adjusted with all his heart, and entered the countdown of waiting. At this time, with the winning hand, the heavenly saint has finally changed color. Win a sword, almost invincible, even the strength between the heavens and the earth to the deadly resistance in the air. Damn, he's stronger than 2,000 years ago. Not good, absolutely can't give Long Fei time. Somehow, I felt a horror in this seat. Of course, just after Long Fei finished speaking, Binsheng also felt a kind of throbbing that never existed in ancient times, as if the heavens were shaking. Taishang Yuanshe and Zhuandi opened their mouths. At this moment, they felt a threat that could bring them down from the holy place. This threat is extremely intuitive and stronger than the threat of winning. Suddenly, several people's faces were frozen instantly. Almost at the same time, several people agreed on their minds. That is your best to kill Long Fei. If before they were worried that using the power of heaven would lead to chaos in heaven, then now they have nothing to worry about. Don't worry about it anymore. Even if it is them, it is difficult to preserve them. The heaven and earth are exquisite pagodas. Come out. Taishang no longer stays. The innate magic weapon comes out. 7 treasure trees, brush. Zhutian Qinyu in town. 2 good people no longer do not stay. The innate magic weapon came out. Moreover, all are the forces that motivate the heavens and the magic weapon of the saints. Supreme majesty and coercion erupt suddenly between heaven and earth. Dang the magic pestle. The guide also began to take action. All the forces came together at this moment, all condensed on Tangshan Yanyijian. Alas, the sword of Tai still blasted against the sword of heaven. The terrible breath swept the world, and the terror was extremely incomparable. The winning expression also became a bit heavy at this time. Are you trying hard? Or do you want to see if the widow has the power to be sacrificed? Wen Mei said. The next moment, winning hands turned. A giant seal appeared in the hands. Godless, gather together, luck move. Win loud voice. Boom boom. Rumble. Rumble. At this moment, the Earth Mansion dragon rose up and down, directly condensed behind the wind, roaring in anger. Unruly the world, not sacred. And the winning body, at this moment, began to change. Below, Long Fei's eyes condensed. Dragon body? Lying down, winning is also one stop. Long Fei was extremely surprised. He thought about how powerful he was, but he didn't expect to have such a card. Even more horrible is that the dragon's breath that wins him is extremely powerful. Even in the ancient world, the strength of the 13 dragon ancestors of a year could not reach this level. It is Long Fei, who has become the master of the dragons in the ancient world, controls the ancestral dragon seal, and determines the fate of the dragons in the world. At this moment, I dare not say that I can win. In the legend, the first emperor was the reincarnation of Zulong, which was originally thought to be nonsense, but now it seems that it is true. Long Fei's heart was shaking. Long Fei has some understanding of the myth of the flood. At the beginning of the day, heaven and earth did not appear. Dragons, phoenixes, and unicorns are the masters of heaven and earth. But later, the competition between the three was the strongest, and the outbreak of the Longhan robberies led to the decline of the three clans and lost their dominance. If the Wind is really the reincarnation of Zulong, then it has the strength of the war sage. Therefore, it is not difficult to explain such a violent past with such a glorious past. The power of Zulong? Impossible. How could you burst into the breath of Zulong? Below, the son-in-law was dumbfounded. She hasn't shot yet, but now she has lost her courage. Zulong? Impossible. There are Tiandao chains to suppress. How did you break free of Tiandao chains and escape from Kunlun? Yuan Shi Tianzuan was terrified. When he saw that the ancestor of Long Zhu was exposed to the wind, he was extremely panic-stricken. In that year, the first thing after they got the Tao was to suppress the three ethnic groups. Yuan Feng was destroyed, Kirin dissipated, and Zulong was suppressed in Kunlun. Nothing is impossible. The heavens are chained. When I cross, the Tao is natural and there is no heaven. Wanting to suppress me with heaven is nothing but self-deception. When violently spoke, the world is unparalleled. In a word, the winning body was completely transformed into a half-dragon body at this time. Dark red scales were surging along with his breath, and a violent atmosphere was also revealed. In the next moment, the winning body went upside down, directly resisting the saint's magic weapon with physical force. Bang, bang, bang. Every magic weapon Shuangguang fell on the winner, but the defense of the victory was almost invincible, and he took a few steps back without any substantial harm. This time, Wen really showed his horror, and at this moment the faces of the saints became shameless. In the face of winning, for the first time showed weakness. Below, although Long Fei was shocked, he quickly suppressed it. Wen is strong, but he is the person who has the system. Under the world, only others envy him. Time, minutes and seconds passed, and 30 breaths of time also turned by. Ding! Congratulations to the players. The Pantheon building system is complete. Ding! Congratulations to players to recast the Pantheon Tower, get system rewards, custom call once, and randomly call once. Note, the custom summon can be called the owner of the Pantheon building. It will be upgraded as the player practices. If the player dies, it will dissipate automatically. Summon at random, it is a one-time summon which can drive the enemy out. The system sounds down. Long Fei, with a single thought, condenses the Pantheon directly above his head. Chapter 4871. Chapter 4871, Rumble. Rumble. Out of the Pantheon, the momentum was extremely shocking. At this moment, everyone's eyes were all concentrated on Long Fei's body. Rather, is condensed on this tower of all gods. The treasure above the heavens? No, this is never possible. The saint was shocked. I feel that the power of the heavens has no control over this thing. Why is this so? Another saint spoke, urged the magic weapon in his hand, condensed into the 7 treasures, and washed away. However, this power has no effect, and the light has not been near the Pantheon building, but has been shielded directly by the divine light above the Pantheon. Even if I win at this moment, my eyes shrink. Good magic weapon. Wynn faintly opened his mouth and was relieved. 30 breath, just 30 breath time. Long Fei really had a whole card turned out, did not let him down. Just leave the battle to me. Today, I'm going to be sacrificed. Long Fei said. The tone was bland. However, at this moment, no one dares to doubt the authenticity of Long Fei's sentence. Good boy. That's ridiculous. I know that you absolutely have the means to overthrow this world. Below, Ingo looked at the Pantheon above his head, ignoring Long Fei, the saint of heaven, and his heart was agitated. For Long Fei, he was the only one who knew some clues. Therefore, we have high hopes for Long Fei. Even if he won, he could not reach this level in his mind. Well, live up to my life and fight today. Humanity is hopeful. Long Fei, it's best to keep myself. I'll say it later. The 3 emperors spoke in succession. At this moment, Long Fei can have this magic weapon. In their opinion, even the power of a saint is useless. Therefore, it is more than enough to want to protect itself. As for Long Fei's beheading, they didn't dare to imagine that it was only when Long Fei was the word of the moment. Thank you for the platform for Long Fei today. However, I have always spoken to Long Fei, saying that today, beheaded, we must be headed. Long Fei's voice was indifferent, unwavering. The saint's heart is not dead when he kills him, and every shot is made to death. Now that the Pantheon is out, do you still want Long Fei to stop? Impossible. Moreover, the mission of the world of mythology is now not short, and the birth of the saint is a sign that things have reached an irreversible stage. If he retreats, the saint will inevitably protect the heaven. If he misses this opportunity, many paths will have to be restarted. Therefore, at this moment, Long Fei didn't hesitate at all. He moved his heart and looked at Tong Tian above his head. Tong Tian, the holy of killing. Whatever you can do with heaven, you are not qualified for my life. And what I said before is still valid. No matter who it is, an explanation must be given to win. Long Fei said in a deep voice. Long Fei, you are too arrogant. Although you do not know where this magic weapon came from, it is at most a defense treasure that can carry the power of heaven. But this does not mean that you have the power to kill saints. Tong Tian said lightly. Defense? You think too much. In Lao Tzu's world, attack is the best defense. Today, start with you. Long Fei's gaze fixed, Shun Sheng said. It's so domineering. Long Fei, are you sure you can do it? Wen asked, no problem. Long Fei's heart went straight and said directly. Now, it is the duel between the 2 worlds, Zulong. Even if he and Wen are in the same camp, they don't want to lose to Wen, because to some extent, he is now the ancestor of the ancient world, is the ancestor of Wanlong. Now that Wen has exposed the ancestral body of the dragon, in this case, Long Fei naturally cannot recognize it. Wen can be against the sky, so he can fly, naturally. Okay, just let me see your ability, so that I can rest assured that the dragons are in your hands. Wen said faintly. Long Fei nodded slightly. He understands the meaning of winning. To win in this world, he cultivates Emperor Tao. Although the power of Zulong can still erupt, to a great extent, there's not much conflict with the previous life. And now, the emergence of Long Fei just replaces the other party to lead the dragons to a peak. The next moment, Long Fei headed to the Pantheon, stepping towards the void step by step. Boom! Stepping forward, Long Fei's figure was directly imprinted in the eyes of everyone, and he was all shocked, falling on them like Hong Zhong. No way, Long Fei at this moment is really too strong, bluntly beheaded. How could they not care? Cut. At this time, Tong Tian's voice was also sinking, without hesitation, the heavenly sword in his hand, once again wrapped in supreme murderous power, shrouded down. Brush. When a sword fell, Wanzhong Jianman, dived from the sky and forced the dragon to fly. Long Fei did not hesitate, and the demon sword was cut backhand. Boom, boom. For the second time, against the sky, the war again went to the night. But this time, it has no previous effect. During the roar of heroes, they were chopped directly into pieces, and even before approaching the sword of this heaven, they disappeared. Long Fei also felt a resolute shock. Without hesitation, he straightly stowed the sword. This sword is just an attitude to show his determination. As for the results, of course, he also expected. He had no hope that the sword would have any effect. After all, in the face of the heavenly power of one person, the power of the evil spirit sword is already difficult to fight, let alone now. However, Long Fei's real killing move has never been a magic sword. Now that the Pantheon has been recast, Long Fei naturally will not let the pearl dust. The next moment, Long Fei didn't hesitate to start the Pantheon directly. System: activate the right to summon, turn on the summon. The old of Long Fei is here, and his eyes look forward to it. Ding! Congratulations to the player to activate the summoning authority. The launch was successful. Ding! This call for the player summons the Lord of the vast starry sky, the demon of Feng Tian, Meng Hao. The system's sound drops. Long Fei's heart sank instantly. Not disappointment, but surprise. Incomparable surprise. Others don't know who the Lord of the starry sky is, but he knows it all. As a traversing person on the earth, the name of Feng Tian Yaozhu is absolutely aloof. Another character in the novel world. Well, last time a cruel emperor, this time a Meng Hao, each of them was awesome. Unfortunately, I'm the protagonist. Long Fei lamented. The system is in hand, and I have it all in the world. That's the truth. This is beyond doubt. Otherwise, the system would not be able to summon this invincible existence to serve itself. And also at this time, with the summoning of the Pantheon successfully. Above the Pantheon, stars were shining brightly, beginning to burst out between heaven and earth. And the saints of the heavens at this moment, his face became extremely dignified. All eyes are also fixed on the Pantheon at this moment. I saw that at this moment in the Pantheon Tower, all the stars were scattered in the void, and then a figure gradually formed. Who calls Meng? The white demon master spoke faintly. His eyes were starry, and his eyes were broad. Chapter 4872. Chapter 4872, Above the Void. This moment became eternal, and everyone's eyes were fixed on the sudden appearance of the white demon master. It's me. Long Fei stepped forward and said frankly, since it is a system call, even if Meng Hao is the Xian of heaven and earth, the Lord of Feng Tian, the supremacy of that world, it is still under the control of the system. Therefore, Long Fei is now proudly facing Meng Hao. Meng Hao groaned slightly. Although it is very unpleasant to be summoned by me, it is very interesting. At least, you prove to me that my Tao is not the end of it. Therefore, this seat is satisfied once. No matter who is very serious, I can satisfy you. Meng Hao faintly said. At this moment, Long Fei had the feeling of getting a dog. I thought that Meng Hao was a system call, so he could obey his orders. Unexpectedly, this is another self-conscious existence. As for the system summoning, it is just calling the other party over. It is impossible for Meng Hao to obey his orders. Fortunately, Meng Hao did not feel angry, but instead seemed to be hunting for joy and found another way. Okay, my conditions are very simple. Isn't your lord the vast star? Then use your way to seal the sky and seal this side of the sky. Long Fei said. Now, the reason why the power of the saint becomes extremely powerful is the power of heaven. If the power of heaven is sealed, then the saint will not be terrible before him. Only then could he be sacrificed. Feng Tian? Okay. Meng Hao smiled slightly and turned his eyes to the heavenly saint. The gatekeeper under the heavenly path. Repair is not bad, but in front of this seat, it is too weak. Meng Hao said lightly. Move your hands. The pros and cons ban. Meng Hao said casually. With the fall of his voice, with both hands, the front and back are constantly reversed, and the whole world outside has undergone a drastic change at this moment. All power and existence begin to repeat at this moment. The positive becomes the reverse, and the reverse becomes the positive. The upside down? How could it be? What kind of power is this? It's confusing the power of heaven. Where did this person come from? Not good. The power of the heavens is chaotic. The saint is shocked, and no one can remain calm at this moment. From Menghao, they felt a kind of unstoppable fear spreading in their hearts. Now it's just a trick that has disturbed their minds. In the distance, the three emperors were also intent. It's so shocking. Everything is incredible. They couldn't figure out what kind of way Long Fei actually used to call out such a powerful person directly. It was okay to win, and there were no major surprises. After all, he was also summoned by Long Fei at the beginning. So seeing the scene, my heart was relieved. It's too strong, the power to subvert the heavens between the backhands, Niobe. Wingo sighed. Even him, he had to serve. Menghao's method completely exceeded his imagination and exceeded his cognition. After all, the saint is the only one in this world. But now, Menghao has let the power of heaven give chaos. This person is very strong, Ingyi said in a deep voice. His eyes were extremely dignified, apparently shocked by Menghao's methods. As for Long Fei, at the moment, he is also very confused. Menghao is too strong, a little bit messy, almost alone, suppressing heaven. At this time, the son-in-law couldn't keep silent anymore. The figure turned around and rose in the sky, standing in a row with the saint above the void. Extreme brother, this person is the same as Long Fei. He is an alien being, that is, the creatures outside the Tao. Tian Tao has no control over their lives, and he can only rely on me to urge them. Nuo said. Her expression was dignified. Everything in front of me has shown that it is impossible to reverse the war by relying on the will of the saints to bless the power of heaven guided by one person. Okay, heaven can jump, but aliens must be killed. People teach the monument, and the power of heaven is coming out. Taishang said silently, but for an instant, he chose to mobilize the power of heaven. Rumble. In an instant, the sky changed, and the infinite power of the heavens surged again, and once again formed a heavenly vortex above the void. Yuanshi explained the teaching monument, Qi. Yuanshi Tianzuan also yelled, Golden Merit, get up. Picture Shan Hesh, get up. Song Sheng's aspirations, get up. Next, a few sounds. The celestial vortex above the void was completely connected. Rumble, rumble. The sky is roaring, and the endless power of heaven is bursting out at this moment, extremely terrifying. The three emperors and others were unable to curb the frown. In the face of this power, they had no choice but to sacrifice their magic weapon, but it was useless at all, and they retreated. Long Fei, we can't hold on under this kind of strength and retreat first. Fu Shihuang said, this power is no longer what they can afford. If a saint has the power of heaven, they may be able to compete. But now, the 6 heavenly gods of Tiandao have no scruples, and they're struggling to chaos the heavens and mobilize the power of the 6 heavenly heavens. This kind of power is already terrifying. That is, now in a place outside the sky. If in the world of mythology, I am afraid that the entire world will fall into disaster. Well, trouble the 3 emperors to take good care of the winning hook. Here I am. Long Fei said in a deep voice. This kind of power, even if he felt an inexplicable pressure, if not Menghao was ahead, the Pantheon Tower carried coercion, fearing that he would only choose to retreat. By the way, win the hook. You are waiting below. I said that giving you an account today will naturally cost them. Long Fei said. Win hooked the focus, then flashed with the figure of the 3 emperors and disappeared out of the sky. In a blink of an eye, the whole world is left with only Long Fei, Win, and Menghao. Winning face remains unchanged, holding too much hands, sinking directly in front of him. The power of heaven is directly isolated. Even if it is the power of the 6 holy heavens, it is difficult to hurt him. At this moment, the corner of Menghao's mouth was a slight smile. That's a little interesting. I cultivate my own cause and effect. I forbid 3 movements, and I respect him. Meng Hao spoke again, and 3 of the 3 supreme methods were performed. Suddenly, the surging force of the heavenly path stopped at this instant, as if framed, and a turbulent skyward vortex no longer worked, as if frozen. It's impossible. Heaven is supreme, and there can't be any force to counter it. People teach monument collapse for me. Taishang voice indifferent. He is the head of the 6 saints. If the Tao is provoked today, the power of the heavens of the 6 cannot be carried, which is a deadly threat to him. Therefore, the current Taishang is almost desperate, and even the humane monument has begun to crack, and it is necessary to break free of Meng Hao's control. At this time, Meng Hao shook her head slightly. The gatekeepers under the heavens are just that. This battle is like this. The 10 forbiddens are united, and the thought is closed. Meng Hao's voice was cold and charming, and she said silently. Chapter 4873. Chapter 4873. Meng Hao spoke with arrogance. It seems that at this moment the power of the heavenly saint is struggling in vain before him and has no effect at all. Therefore, at this moment, he is no longer ready to continue wasting time. Between the hands, the strongest law is forbidden to be cast, and the sky is closed. Rumble. In one breath, the whole sky changed drastically with the words of Meng Hao. Terrible. The endless power of the heavens is like a puppet in the middle of it, and it is imprisoned in the hands of Meng Hao. Not only these, but even the invincible magic weapon of the heavenly saints, at this moment in front of the Xeon's prohibition, have lost their original deity. No, how could this happen? The heavens are so strange that they can suppress them. This is impossible. No, this sun wants to imprison us and let Long Fei kill us. It's ruthless. I can't wait any longer. Please, Master. For a moment, exclaimed words came from the mouths of the saints. At this moment, they were really scared. The strength of the 6 people couldn't bear to notice that Meng Hao was banned, and even the power of heaven was banned, like nothing. This kind of thing is unprecedented. Of course, if it is only banned, they will not be so unrealistic. More importantly, after Meng Hao, Long Fei had already given them a killing heart. At this moment, they did not hesitate. They started to move directly. They wanted to awaken their teacher, Tiandao, Hongjun. Boy, what are you waiting for? I can feel that a super strong being is waking up, and I have not much power left. I want to make a shot. Now is the time. Meng Hao began to remind. Long Fei suddenly woke up. Are Tiandao Hongjun coming out? But it's useless. I can't stop anyone Long Fei is going to kill. The sound of Long Fei was frosty, and when he thought about it, the sword of demons once again controlled his hands. It's against the sky burst. Without hesitation, Long Fei directly used all the remaining killing intentions in the current demon sword. After all, this time, he was going to be sacrificed. Extraordinary. Huh. A sword waved. Countless practitioners in the world of Tongxian fell, and the killing intention broke out. This time, it can be said that it is several times more powerful than the previous outbreak. After all, this time Long Fei no longer cares how many times it can be used, but all of them are displayed in one go. Brush. A sword condenses into the sky, crosses directly between the heavens, crosses the heavens' whirlpool, and leads straight. Compared to Tong Tian and others, Long Fei's heart is more sacred towards the West. After all, he stood up for the human race. The Western 2 saints, however, used Songxing as the source of belief, relying on ambition to capture the heart of Songxing. It's heartbreaking. It is precisely because of this that at this moment Long Fei's sword pointed at the Western saint. No. Then his face changed, and his eyes were horrified. At this moment, the power of heaven is restrained, and even his magic weapon is restrained. Even if he can still resist, but under the sword of this maggot, his resistance is too pale and weak. It is not that he is weak, but the sword Long Fei is too strong. The meaning of endless skyward accumulation that has been accumulated for thousands of years If it can be easily broken, Tong Tian would not have used the sword of heaven. Sha dare. Long Fei, you are bold. Presumptuous, Long Fei. If you dare to kill the holy, under heaven, you will be destroyed. Several saints opened their mouths. Their eyes were incredible. How could they never have imagined that coming today would be such a result? Not even thinking that Long Fei really had the courage to dare to slay the knife to the saint. Now, threatening again? Innocence. Heavenly saints, you sacrifice saints, walk on behalf of the sky, and control the lifestyle of song. As everyone knows, there are many people who want to kill heaven. The life of a cultivator, obedience to sin. I am Long Fei today, and I will be the first person to kill the saint. Let this world know that the heart of my Long Fei is heaven, and I can't stop it. He opened his mouth without any hesitation. For a moment, he dropped the sword of demons on the top of his head. Alas, the falling of his sword, the infinite anti-sky intention, turned into a sharp blade, and the shadows of numerous practitioners dissipated, merged into the Slayer's sword, became the spike of Tu Sheng, and fell before the lead. No, merit Golden Lotus, block. Then the figure exploded and wanted to mobilize the merit Jinlian to resist Long Fei. However, now that he has used the merit Jinlian to mobilize heaven, he has been banned by Meng Hao. Even if it is his calling, he is indifferent. Puff! Finally, the sword fell, and the straight eyebrows were broken. Heavenly Saint, fall! And at this time, the power of the banned heaven suddenly became violent as the lead fell. Boom, boom. In a flash, the remaining 5 saints returned directly to the free body. Brother. Okay, Big Dog Gall, Long Fei, you're dead. You dare to kill Sheng. Even Daozu has been alarmed. Today, not only you, but also this heavenly alien will die here. The first class said, angry. From the day of sanctification, the heavenly saints have never been in danger of life and death. It is unexpected that they have been beheaded by Long Fei at the same time. This makes them more angry and more murderous. Because Long Fei can kill a saint, naturally there's a way to force them into the Jedi. However, Long Fei didn't even notice it. What about the saint? From the moment he entered this mythological world, all this was doomed. However, today it was staged ahead of schedule. Killing 1 is also killing 2 is also killing. Demon Lord, can you ban the heavens again? I will kill 1 more. Long Fei said, understatement, as if the heavenly saint, in his eyes, has been able to be killed casually. No, you killed 1 of them. You've already attracted Fang Diando's attention. I have sensed that a terror force will come. Meng Hao said lightly. Long Fei froze and looked at Meng Hao incredible. He did not expect that Meng Hao refused so simply. Dark Master? Are you kidding me? But you, the Lord of Heaven, how can you admit it so easily? Long Fei was helpless. There is nothing to persuade. It can't just be impossible. However, I can still make a shot once. It's just wasted on these people. When that one comes, I will take a shot and fight with it. Looking at the vast void, an invincible trend breeding on him. As if under this square starry sky, he is still the master. It was also at this time, above the void, that the power of the heavens was beginning to come. The heavenly path is strange, but dare to cut the saints of the heavenly path. Today, this path will cut both of you to correct the path of heaven. A voice fell, full of thunder. Long Fei was roaring in his heart. If it wasn't for the top of the pantheon at this moment, I was afraid that it would only hurt him with just 1 sentence. The ancestor of heaven, Tao Zuhong Jun, good strong. Long Fei's eyes narrowed, thinking in his mind. Chapter 4874. Chapter 4874. Suddenly, the saints bowed their heads. Master, Daozu, Master, this son is going against the heavens and beheading the saint. He must not be released. The saint said, his words were full of grief. I know this. Rest assured, disciples in this Tao are not so easy to die. Above Songming, a deep voice appeared. Words and expressions follow, the world and the world respect. Even more horrible is that a word from this person actually made Long Fei feel a sense of disorder. The next moment, a more terrifying scene took place. Long Fei found that time was reversing, and what had happened was returning at a speed that was visible to the naked eye. Above the emptiness, the dead connection began to reshape the body. Impossible! Long Fei was shocked. This power is incredible. He knows that there are many powerful people in the world who have the ability to turn back time. However, this has already happened. After all, if you can use the power of supernatural power to regenerate and resurrect, then your own task is a mess. You have to know that it is the power of the system that you use to kill yourself. If Hong Jun can contain even the power of the system, and it can lead to rebirth through the power of heaven, does this not mean that even the power of the system cannot help Hong Jun? This result is too horrible and has gone beyond the resurrection itself. Master, don't worry, he can't be resurrected. Although he is extremely powerful, there is still a little gap compared to the Supreme Plane. This person was killed by your system power. He cannot be resurrected. At this time, the system girl said, "Really?" Long Fei felt relieved. If so, it's okay. Otherwise, you simply don't need to continue your mission and declare bankruptcy directly. Wait to see the master. He just shot himself in the foot and will know how ignorant he is. The system girl said dismissively. As soon as this remark came out, Long Fei truly relaxed. And above the void, Meng Hao looked at everything happening indifferently. Of course, the most excited person at this time is the heavenly saint. Seeing Hong Jun shot, they were all open to rebirth. After all, Tiandao Hong Jun can revive the lead, which means that they will not have a deadly threat in the future, and they do not need to worry about the fear of death. They are still immortal. I don't know what it means. Seeing that, when Dao Zhu shot it, everything before you is useless. In front of Tiandao, dare to fight fiercely until the revival of the master is the death of the three of you. No matter who you are, all those who rebel against the heavens will kill without pardon. The saints said one after another. But the words did not fall, but Meng Hao's voice directly suppressed their ridicule. You take it for granted. Although the strength of heaven is strong, not all kinds of injuries can be reversed. After a while you will know that it is you who are truly ignorant. Meng Hao said softly, glanced at Long Fei a little thoughtfully, and said lightly, "Boy, I'll take a shot later to expel heaven for you, and the rest is up to you. I have a hunch that one day we will meet again. Don't let me down then." Meng Hao said. The whole body suddenly got together, and the endless demon anger was on its body. This horrible horror, the impact of heaven, almost formed a situation of court resistance with Dao Zhu Hongjun. The first demon in the vast sky, it really lives up to this name. Long Fei felt with emotion. And, at this moment, an incredible scene happened. I saw that the original rebirth had been reversed, and Sheng Sheng stopped on the spot, without even condensing the flesh, and then banged and broke completely, more thorough than before. At this moment, the world was shocked. But both Long Fei and Meng Hao were calm. This scene they had anticipated. Win's expression was relieved, and his eyes were full of light. All over the world, in addition to him, someone finally has the power to kill the saint. Long Fei, you're doing well. You have proven that saints are not immortal. Wen calmly spoke, burning in his eyes. Yes, saints are not immortal. Unfortunately, now that Hong Jun is here, there is no way to cut another one. Long Fei had some regrets. He could feel that with the emergence of Hong Jun, the power of heaven in the saint became more mysterious. Simply put, before they were in the heavens, they could mobilize the power of the heavens. So now, it is to call on the power of heaven. This difference has cut off the possibility that Long Fei wants to cut another saint. However, Long Fei is now satisfied. But he killed a holy man. This is already the biggest gain in World War I. Anyway, before the decisive battle, saints may not be as scary as you think. The real existence of terror has never appeared. Ing faintly said, on the one hand, to wake up Long Fei, for fear that Long Fei will drift away because of the battle sacred. Long Fei pouted his lips, and he naturally understood when he won. He wanted to speak in response, but was interrupted by a rage above the void. Hateful, even the soul of the Tao of Heaven was annihilated, and the possibility of resurrection of this Tao was cut off. Hong Jun was furious and just boasted about Haikao. His disciples were not so easy to die. In a blink of an eye, he could be directly beaten. His methods simply couldn't make him reborn, and even the physical body now completely collapses, completely cutting off the possibility. As soon as this word was spoken, the saints who had been integrated into the heavenly path all showed a sadness. The fellow initiates have been there for tens of thousands of years, but now they say they are gone. Damn! Master, you must not let them go, otherwise my heaven will inevitably collapse. Yes, Daozu, they have messed up the heavens and slaughtered the saints. If they didn't die, the world would be chaotic. Daozu, you must not let them go. The saints began to speak. At this moment, they were really scared. Long Fei already has the ability to kill the saints. To them, it is tantamount to hanging a knife above their heads. Maybe they will be cut off at any time. If Long Fei isn't dead, they'll be dead by then. Those who are in disorder, this way will never be forgiven. Now that the lead is dead, the speed will wait for Zhixiao Palace to complete its control. As for this, leave it to Bendao. Hong Jun's voice fell. Infinite killings also erupted instantly. The next moment, a Taoist figure slowly gathered from the endless hearing. Meng Hao's pupils shrank, and she took a step forward. Boy, let's step back. This battle I will come. Meng Hao's eyes were surging. He killed many invincible beings, cleared the heavens, and closed the heavens and earth, but never fought against heaven. Now that there is exactly this opportunity, how can I let it go? The ultimate ban, Feng Tian, Meng Hao said with a deep voice, then stepped forward and went straight to Hong Jun's body. Chapter 4875. Chapter 4875. Visible to the naked eye, the two figures were intertwined instantly. In the surging strength of heaven, a scarlet horror crisscrossed up and down. Immediately afterwards, two breaths, wrapped in two figures, directly and continuously collided, open and close, and finally merge again. At this moment, Long Fei just felt that the whole world was shaking, as if the whole void was about to collapse. Fortunately, this is a place outside the sky. If in the world of mythology, what heaven, what spirit mountain, what three realms this level of fighting, I am afraid that they have passed by, and they will turn into scorched earth. Long Fei sighed. This kind of power, any one of which was leaked out, Long Fei felt able to collapse a star. It was like the destruction of one realm in the world. But after all, the skills that I use myself. Now, they're just the aftermath of battle, and they can have this effect. It can be seen how powerful the battle between them is at this time. But also at this time, the fighting between the two men went further and further, even directly breaking out of the sky and disappearing. Boom! Suddenly, the breath of heaven and earth shook, and all the power of heaven and earth disappeared. Even the traces of several heavenly saints disappeared. Long Fei took a long, soothing sip. This battle has finally come to an end. As for the outcome of the battle, it is unknown. However, it is certain that Meng Hao, as the vast master, has absolute strength even if he is only summoned by himself at this moment. Even if he can't defeat Tiandao, Hong Jun, he could be seriously injured. It seems that I still need to improve as soon as possible, and now the strength is not enough. Long Fei looked at the wind aside and said lightly, Yes, although you're not weak now, this battle is just the beginning. You need to go further. One looked at Long Fei and said. Long Fei nodded, thinking deeply. After all, I have Meng Hao this time and can summon the Lord of the Vast, but next time I ain't have this opportunity. However, just when Long Fei thought he was winning, he only encouraged him, and suddenly he said, Long Fei, if I tell you when I make waves in the heavens and the earth, when the heavens and the demons, every one of them is not inferior. Strength, how about you? At this moment, Wen suddenly said, What? Long Fei was startled. Does everyone have the power of inferior saints? Long Fei was completely stunned. Isn't the heavenly saint the strongest in this mythical world? Is there still a sage and a horrible existence? For a long time, what Long Fei thought he had to deal with was Hong Jun. Just like the original sentence, Hong Jun comes first, and then there is heaven. Therefore, the avatar who won at the beginning told Long Fei that what he had to deal with was innate. Long Fei instinctively thought that what he had to deal with was Hong Jun. But now, after a word of winning, it is the veto of Long Fei's guess. Congenital, you are not Hong Jun? Long Fei frowned. If it is Hong Jun, what they have to deal with is just 6 heavenly saints. Today, however, Win says that what he has to deal with is the existence of countless inferior saints. Who told you I was dealing with Hong Jun? If so, 2,000 years ago, I could destroy the heavenly path and force the saint to die, and I would be able to suppress the heavenly path. Win said faintly. Then what's your end, exactly? Long Fei asked, with a little shock in his tone. So shocked. Have to say, completely subverted Long Fei's cognition. That exists, needless to say, I think you know it too. He is Pangu. Win said faintly. Pangu? A great who broke the ground? Long Fei was startled. The eyes looked toward winning. All are incredible. It's just that the world has myth. Take a step back and say that the one at the beginning was indeed a portrait of heaven and earth. At the time, I was still in chaos, and I also felt that this was a god standing between heaven and earth, the only god. However, when Yuan Feng and Kiran and I battled the world, I felt faintly. I'm wrong. He is not God. It's a person in a group. But he opened up this side of the world and became the of this side of the world. Win said, the tone became more and more fierce, even with a little heavy. Sync ethnic? Panga family? Long Fei exclaimed. It is no wonder that it is necessary to face the existence of a group of inferior saints who originally thought that winning was an exaggeration, but now it seems. Not an exaggeration at all, but rather conservative. You can say the same. I don't know what race they are, but I can feel that they are coming soon. Win said, then Hong Jun didn't want to face it? Long Fei asked. I disagree with him. He is too conservative. He has led to epic times and blessings of heaven. He uses the power of heaven to resist those invasions. However, it is useless. Those beings will still enter. Luo Lu was one of them. Although he was expelled from the heaven by Hong Jun, it was a pity that he was not beheaded and everything was futile. Win said, Long Fei was silent. At the next moment, Long Fei sank into his heart, sinking into the system. Sister of the system, can the Pantheon Tower be able to condense people and spirits as before? Long Fei asked. Of course you can, Master. Now the Pantheon Tower is the same as before, except for one less landlord. There is no big difference. The only possibility is that the speed of cohesion has increased a lot, said the system girl. Okay, I get it. Long Fei nodded faintly, and then moved his hands, and the light of the Pantheon Tower flashed, brushing between the heavens and the earth, and returned to Long Fei. Of course, at this moment, the saint has retreated, and the battle between Hong Jun and Ming Hao also used all the power, which did not create any coercion on him. When, the next time, I need to reconsider the pattern. But heaven and Lingshan I have to get. Long Fei insisted. This has something to do with his task, and he naturally cannot give up. Whatever. I have said long ago, between this world, I have no desire. Even I can help you. When said faintly, Can. The Wu tribe and the demon tribe will be entrusted to you. The Wu tribe and I have the old one, and then they will keep their heritage. As for the demons, you take care of it. Long Fei said, if he wins, he will be under great pressure to let him know that although he has broken through the realm of transcendence, he can face the next danger, which is beyond mention. It's not just him, the entire Long Ting is now too weak. Therefore, Long Fei's next move is to rectify the Dragon Court, so that the people in the Dragon Court can make a sea change. At least, let them not be useless in the next battle. Chapter 4876. Chapter 4876 Above the Dragon Court. A sea of blood flows. The of a million heavens fell here, the repair of a million spirit hills, no dead body, millions of demon clan, as many as volts. This battle can be said to be more brutal than the First World War. Millions of souls fell in one day, and Long Ting completely became bloodstained. 3 million blood, demon blood, and Buddha blood converge into the sea and fall into the vast world, forming a landscape above the Dragon Court. But the scenery is brutal. 1 million Qin soldiers directly destroyed nearly 3 million of the 3 clans. This battle is truly remarkable. The normal war, however, lasted only a few hours. Of course, the demon monsters of the clan did not take action, not because they didn't want to, but because they couldn't. Earlier, they won here, they did not dare to shoot at all, for fear of winning one shot. They would all be destroyed. After finally waiting for the victory to leave, the 3 emperors and Xinyuanzi appeared, and they were directly suppressed. Yin Lao Qin, it really is great. Long Fei has just returned from a place outside the sky. Seeing this scene cannot help but admire. Qin Bing is really strong, so we can see how much hard work Wen has done for this day. Not enough. Except for Bai Qi, Li Mu, and others, they're high-end combat power, but the rest are worse. But now that I have the full luck of the land government, the next step I will use the fierce air of the land government to temper them. At least, they must become inferior, semi-holy existence, and the next battle will be possible. Wen calmly said, as everyone knows, the impact of this sentence on Long Fei. The moment before, he just thought about how to improve the strength of Long Ting's people. However, he did not expect that his ambition to win would be even greater. He even wanted to be a master of the world. Yeah, after today's war, I believe that whether it is Tianting or Lingshan, they will share a period of time. Just use this time to enhance their strength. Long Fei said, of course, what he wants to improve is Long Ting's overall strength and how to deal with the race in his mouth. As for his task, naturally he will not relax. At this time, with the advent of Long Fei and Wen, the advent of heaven, the Bodhisattva of Lingshan, and the demon of the demon race, at this moment there is no reservation, and no one dares to stay for a while. And Long Fei didn't bother to care. After all, Tianting and Lingshan are still there, and it is useless to kill them. When they hit Lingshan and overthrow them, they will naturally escape. Today you have solved Long Ting, and I will return to the prefecture for military training. Also be sure to go further. Wen said heavily, after speaking, turned around and went forward step by step. With each step, his figure gradually sinks to the ground. Behind him, 1 million Qin Bing, led by Bai Qi, also followed his footsteps and slowly disappeared. For a time, the whole Dragon Court returned to silence. However, the body of the mountain, the endless sea of blood, has shown that a terrible world war broke out here. The next moment, Long Fei's eyes circled, looking at the endless blood dyeing the Dragon Court. His heart moved slightly. 3 emperors, when the hook. For the time being, you will enter the Dragon Court and treat me with the supreme method, refining the blood of the Tianting demon clan and Lingshan as the banner, and letting the Dragon Court flourish. Long Fei said lightly. The 3 emperors did not speak, and their expressions were dignified. Boy, don't go too far. People die, lights are dead. Death is dead. Why continue to use their blood to make a fuss? Wingo persuaded. Some things you don't understand. Long Fei said lightly. Naturally, he didn't just want to be a banner. I want to reshape them with the Pantheon. After all, the enemies to face next are too powerful, and Long Fei must concentrate all available power. But these people's cultivation is too weak. Even if they are reborn, it is useless. Therefore, what Long Fei thought at this moment was to use their blood, Buddha blood, and demon blood to condense the 3 mansions of the Pantheon. Winning a moment, I realized that this should be related to Long Fei's unique ability. Well, now that you have a plan, do what you want. 3 emperors, let's go. Just look at how this Dragon Court. Win tick. There was a guise of winning, and the three emperors and Jin Yuan also stopped talking and went directly to Long Ting with the win. At this time, Tushan Xiaorong had been ready for a long time, fully playing the role of Long Ting's steward and entering. When the crowd disappeared, Long Fei's eyes gradually sank. Then I thought, Xiamen Luck, get up. With an order, Long Fei directly mobilized Xiamen's luck and blinded the entire void. In this way, any realm in the heavens and the earth can no longer know what he is going to do. Sister System, I think it's feasible to condense the three Xeon existences using the flesh, mana, and blood falling from the three forces, respectively. Long Fei asked, open your door. This is what he thinks. Because if he's going to face it in the future, it is really as scary as Win said. So now, some means must be deployed. According to the current attributes of the Pantheon Tower, it should be completely feasible, and the owner can try it, said the system girl. Long Fei took a deep breath and was ready to start the Pantheon. But at this moment, a long-lost voice appeared in his mind. Ding! Congratulations to the player, Long Fei, for beheading and killing the heavenly saints. Ding! Lead is a superclass boss. It rewards players with 1,000 points of experience, 100 points of immortality, and 1 point of invincibility. Ding! Congratulations to the player for 12 Merit Golden Lotus. Congenital Treasure, Fusion Red Lotus, Black Lotus, can grow into an eternal life magic weapon. Ding! Congratulations to players for their great luck and great luck. Ding! Congratulations to the player for being introduced to the Sacred Tower, the Saint's magic weapon, which contains the supreme power of the gods and has inherent restraint against demons. The sound of the system is faster than the wave, and Long Fei's expression was staggered on the spot. Before that, he was still wondering why the system would not respond in the slightest. I didn't expect to start prompting it this time. Long Fei sinks his mind, looks at the rewards, and finds that except for the value changes such as experience points, the other rewards are basically gray, as if it is a state that cannot be used. Long Fei froze and quickly asked, System, what's going on? Why can't I use these rewards at all? Long Fei was puzzled. Ding! The system noticed the player's willingness to reinstate the Pantheon. If the player needs remodeling, the rewards other than the experience attributes will be halved and used for the character after remodeling. I asked players if they choose to continue reinventing leads. The system's sound drops. Suddenly, Long Fei felt like a dog in his heart. My Nima, do you want to play like this? This is to kill you. Long Fei was angry and helpless. Chapter 4877. Chapter 4877, it can be said that this is a difficult problem. For a while, even Long Fei didn't know how to choose. Reinventing the connection has to pay such a big price. Merit Golden Lotus? Leading to God's Tower? With that said, one must be lost. Long Fei groaned in his heart. If it was the time of everything else, Long Fei wouldn't even think about it and would definitely choose to give up remodeling. But not now, because the after effect of what Win said is too serious. Even if there is a system, he is not sure to reach that level in a short time. After all, he had no idea when the people of that race would arrive. The sage, no doubt, has reached that level. Forget it. Even this kind of treasure is not enough compared with the blade of the king of the world. Long Fei thought in his mind that the most urgent task at present is to improve himself and the overall heritage. Although these magic weapons are not weak, they're far worse than the methods he controls now. With that in mind, Long Fei made a direct decision: reinvent. Simple 2 words. In the next moment, among the rewards for beheading and slaying, the sacred building completely disappeared and turned black. But within the Pantheon Tower, the figure that followed was slowly condensed and finally appeared completely. Immediately afterwards, she walked out of the Pantheon building, looked at the endless blood in front of her, and looked at Long Fei. At this time, the respect on his face was drawn, and only Long Fei surrendered. He still retains his previous memories, but only has a layer of yoke, which is his absolute loyalty to Long Fei. More importantly, he knew the horror of Pantheon and only worshipped Long Fei. This means, let alone their heavenly saints, even heavenly gods cannot do it. Well, you first enter the pantheon to rest and recover your strength. Long Fei said. At this time, he could feel that although the lead was reshaped, its strength was lower than before, but it is understandable. After all, it is now being reshaped, and it will naturally lose some money. Take the lead. Then said solemnly. After the acclaimed figure returned to the Pantheon Tower, Long Fei's consciousness sank into it, only to discover that the entire Pantheon Tower had begun to be divided into 9 floors. The lead-in was only on the 7th floor. System Sister, what's going on? Long Fei asked. Master, this is a change that I made when I remodeled the Pantheon Tower. Before, the Pantheon Tower was too irregular. Now when I reorganize, I will stratify according to their strength. As the Master saw, the strength of the lead is the heavenly saint, and he can already be ranked on the 7th floor. The system girl explained, but Long Fei was a little shocked. The cultivation of the heavenly saints is the 7th floor. What about the 8th floor? What about the 9th floor? Long Fei couldn't imagine it. If according to the sister of the system, then the 8th layer is afraid that it has reached the level of winning in Tiandao Hongjun. Master, the cultivation of the 8th floor has basically reached its peak. If divided according to cultivation, at least it should be beyond the peak or the state of life. Said the system girl. Just like the wind you have encountered before, and the ancestors of heaven and earth, they're all masters in the realm of life. The system girl continued. Okay, are they the realm of destiny? Long Fei froze. Suddenly, I felt a stagger. What surprised him most was that the wind had reached that level, and no wonder he had such confidence. If so, what is the 9th floor? Long Fei asked. If the 8th floor is already the pinnacle of cultivation, what is the significance of the existence of the 9th floor? The 9th floor is naturally to be prepared for the owner of the Pantheon building, the system girl said, with a little expectation in her eyes. The landlord? Yes, when she called in a hurry, she only shot once and then completely dissipated. I said at the time that I would definitely see you again, and now is the time. Long Fei thought, starting the summoning reward of the Pantheon directly. Designated summoning, the cruelest emperor in the world. Alas, suddenly, with the operation of the system power, a layer of puppets was directly laid on the 9th floor of the Pantheon building. Brush! I disappeared, and a figure gradually appeared. However, what made Long Fei somewhat surprised was that he was not a fierce emperor in his memory, but a little girl. The little girl held a mask in her hands and cried and laughed. I'm going, system girl. Is there anything wrong with this? This is a ruthless emperor? Long Fei froze, feeling inexplicable in his heart. Yeah, but as I said before, this time the summoning can be continuously improved along with the master's practice. According to the master's current practice speed, she was in the Pantheon building, absorbing the support of the Pantheon, and it would not be long before she could reach the level of transcendence. Then the speed will slow down, said the system girl. Then what is the fierce emperor? Long Fei asked again. This is not the point of the question. The point is that this is the last time Emperor walked on the earth. The system will print the experience and power of previous generations, and when it grows up, it will not wake up because it is too powerful, can cause the balance of the world to be shaken passively. And in this way, the cruel emperor can really stay in the Pantheon building. Said the system girl. Long Fei nodded. The system girl said so. Long Fei understood. Every world has its own trajectory. The operation of the system is also unlikely to affect the operation of other worlds. With this in mind, Long Fei took a step forward and said lightly, from now on, you are the owner of the Pantheon building. You first practice well here, and when you awaken your strength, you are the emperor within the heavens, the cruelest emperor. Long Fei said, I'm the Pantheon landlord. I am the cruelest emperor in the heavens. Okay, I remember. The little girl said lightly. Long Fei's eyes were easygoing, nodded slightly, and then linked the system. The system recast the immortal, the Buddha, the demon, the blood of a million souls with the Pantheon, condensing the strongest body. Long Fei said. After speaking, he looked at the Pantheon silently, waiting for the reaction from the Pantheon. Sure enough, just as Long Fei's voice fell, the entire Pantheon building became frantic, but after a moment it fell silent again. Ding! Congratulations to the player for triggering the system task. Task 1. Create Immortals Buddha's Demon. Task time 1 day. Mission level, S level. Mission rewards, 500 activation volumes. Mission punishment, none. Note: after the mission is completed, the next mission will be unlocked automatically. The system's voice fell, then fell silent. But Long Fei was bright. 500 activation volumes? Haha, the Legion system, the Legion store, is finally about to open. Chapter 4879. Chapter 4879. Ding! Congratulations to players for completing system tasks and creating gods, monsters, and Buddhas. Ding! Congratulations to the players for getting rewards and 500 activation volumes. The system's sound dropped, and it was clean. A joy in Long Fei's heart. He clearly remembered that when activating the Legion store, as long as 5 activation rolls, now one-off reward of 500, can't one step be in place? As soon as he thought about it, Long Fei sank into the system, watching the flashing activation volume, and his heart moved. System, activate the Legion store. Ding! Congratulations to players activating the Legion store. A flash of light flashed. In the Legion system, the function of the Legion store was finally activated, and it was no longer in an unerasable state. But when Long Fei enters one of them with full of interest, he suddenly develops a feeling of being ridiculous. Gray, gray, still gray. Everything, including weapons and equipment, skills, etc., is all gray. It is completely unusable, and the numbers above the corners are even more dazzling as Long Fei looks at him, and his heart is as cold as water. Paladin, this is playing with me. Long Fei heard a resentment. Yes, the Legion store is activated, but everything in it needs to be activated again. In other words, the current 500 activation volumes are not enough to see, let alone all of them can be done at once, and even half of them cannot be activated. Ding! It is detected that the player still has an activation volume. May I ask if it is activated? Activation. Long Fei's voice was silent, and the hatred's teeth were itchy. However, such a choice has to be made. Only by activating it can the functions of the Legion system be activated, and the talents in his Legion can be greatly improved. Swipe. A series of lights flashed. One by one, and the Legion system was activated, but the 500 activation volumes also quickly bottomed out. Long Fei's gaze sighed as he looked at the flashing weapons in the Legion system. Finally activated. But when Long Fei took it out tentatively, he found that there was no way to control it. Ding! The current status of Legion treasures is stateless. Players need to buy Legion coins to access them. System sounds suddenly appear. Sync. Long Fei had 1,000 words in her heart, and gathered into a sentence, and vowed to come to the Supreme Plane to hang the developers of the system. Master, don't get angry. I think the system has evolved so definitely. Maybe the next mission will burst out Legion coins. The system girl quickly comforted. Hope so, Long Fei said lightly. Now Long Fei is completely silent about the system. It can be said that this time, the greater the surprise to yourself, the greater the disappointment. But there is nothing he can do about the system. As soon as he thought about it, Long Fei could only suppress the depression in his heart, looking at the 3 people in front of him and saying, "You have gathered a fine blood. Each portrays a temperament for me, and then enter the Pantheon to cultivate." Long Fei said lightly. The 3 didn't dare to hesitate. As soon as Long Fei's voice fell, he split his palm, and blood fell from his palm. Swipe. In just a moment, the 3 blood types fused together. Long Fei waved his hand at this moment, and a wave of power swept past, directly portraying this blood into a banner. This flag, as red as blood, was rippling with the breath of immortals, Buddhas, and demons, and was extremely shocking. Just the breath, has surpassed the ordinary innate Ling Bao, comparable to the treasure. Long Fei froze with a smile in his heart. This point, it makes Long Fei a little surprised. Interesting, originally, I just wanted to gather a flag and give the three emperors and others a story. I did not expect to accidentally create a treasure. Long Fei felt with emotion. If you want to plant flowers, you will not bloom. That's it. For a moment, Long Fei no longer hesitated. With a wave of his hands, withdrew Xianmen Qi directly, and then reappeared between heaven and earth. Come out, Long Fei is fine. But what's behind him? Congenital treasure? No, it's not congenital treasure. It should be made by Long Fei, but the breath is so strong that it is comparable to congenital treasure. Ha ha, I said, this kid must be able to make an unexpected surprise. The three emperors are sighing and winking. At this time, Long Fei came to the dragon court step by step. As for that flag, it stood directly on the sacrifice stone of Xianmen and became the symbol of Dragon Court. Today, I would also like to thank the three emperors and the head of Jinyuan, Long Fei remembered. But rest assured, since you put your hope on my Long Fei will certainly not let you down. Long Fei said, resolutely. Not for others, just because of this path, is also Long Fei's insistence. In this regard, we believe that you are recognized by the scriptures. Even the scriptures say that you are the hope of the mythical fairyland, and the poor will naturally not doubt. Zheng Yuanzi's was said, in front of Long Fei did not dare to lift the shelf. Long Feizuan called him a long voice, but he did not dare to forget the raging fury before Long Fei. Okay, for the next time, you can practice in Long Ting now. I believe that this period of time, whether it is heaven or Ling Shan, will stop for a period of time. For me to deal with some things, I will directly launch a general attack, destroy the heavenly mountains, destroy the world, and become the only one. Long Fei said, this can also be regarded as an explanation to several people. After all, the masters of Tushan Xiaohong and Xinzong are still in a coma. The urgent task is to treat the two people. As for the attack on the heaven and the Lingshan, they can only wait until later. As for the demons and witches, since one has already been won, it will inevitably be destroyed and swept away, and Long Fei is not worried or doubtful. The three emperors and others were hesitant, and they agreed. After all, this time out of the mountain, it was for Long Fei, and now Long Fei asks, they will naturally not refuse. Soon, Long Fei ordered A.O. Guang to resettle the three emperors and the town's son. Only winning the hook, Long Fei stayed. Thank you today. Long Fei said, what's this? When I first saw you, I guessed that the breaking point of the mythical world lies on you. Wingo waved and said, not disapproving at all. Long Fei laughed softly. For winning the hook, Long Fei's intimacy is stronger than that of San Huang and others. It is not the first time that the two have dealt with each other. They're more like brothers and friends. As for friends, Long Fei never hesitated. The next moment, Long Fei moved his palm and squeezed out a drop of blood. This is my essence. After you refine, you may have unexpected gains. Long Fei said, but as soon as the voice fell, Long Fei's expression suddenly snapped. Master, in fact, if the wind hook is included in the system, it will have more functions. Don't forget, you still have a bone legion under your hand. The system girl reminded. Long Fei's expression froze, and he was shocked. Chapter 4880. Chapter 4880. The Bone Legion was obtained in the Tongxian world, but after solving the problem on the Tongxian road at that time, the entire legion was put back into the system and repaired. Today, if it wasn't for the system girl, Long Fei would have almost forgotten, and there is such a group of strange soldiers under his hands. Yeah, although Wingo is still arrogant, but it is not enough to want to be the enemy in the future. But if he is allowed to join the Bone Legion, he will definitely be able to take another step forward. Long Fei thought. As soon as he thought about it, Long Fei said directly, win the hook. When I summoned you, do you still remember the throne of bone and the Bone Legion under me? Long Fei asked. Remember, that group exists, although not very strong, but it can be said to be past. Winning hands holding the essence of Long Fei said lightly. Want to be more than what Long Fei said? Wingo is obviously more interested in this drop of essence blood. He can feel that Long Fei's essence contains an indescribable breath. This breath is so arrogant that it gives Wingo a feeling that if it can be swallowed, maybe it can go further. At this level of cultivation, it is difficult for them to reach a small level, as they are often retreats for thousands of years, and they may not be able to break through. So now a drop of essence blood gave him this impulse, and it was naturally shocking. Long Fei's face changed slightly, and he did not expect that his Bone Legion was so worthless in winning the hook. As soon as this word came out, Long Fei wanted to speak and gave Sheng Sheng a return. Master, now that the Bone Legion has been rehabilitated after the repair, it has been improved several times over the past. Now, the minimum combat power has the limit below the detachment, even if it is not weaker than the wind hook. At this moment, the system girl suddenly said, full of disdain, "It seems that Long Fei's power is looked down upon by Wingo, and I feel very upset." Long Fei froze, seeming a little confused. After all, when the Bone Legion was incorporated into the system, it was really not strong. How long has it elapsed now? And it is already comparable to winning. Master, don't underestimate the power of the system. Many impossible things are omnipotent in the eyes of the system. The system girl said, extremely proud. Long Fei nodded, no doubt about this. The power of the system is certain, at least so far. The system has never disappointed Long Fei. As soon as this happened, Long Fei smiled in his heart and said to Wingo, "If I say, I will give you the throne of bones and make you the master of the group of bones." Long Fei said tentatively, but he knew that it required a process. That is the system that will win the hook. So far, the secrets of the system, even if their own women and their brothers do not know, it is naturally impossible to let Wingo know. After all, this relationship is too much, and Long Fei will not take risks. Therefore, the method that Fei can think of is to let the wind hook be recast through the Pantheon building, so that the wind hook can be included in the system, and it is logical to become the master of the group of Bone Warlords. You know, that group of Bone Warfare is really close to immortality, and it will be more powerful after being merged with each other is definitely not simple. Let me be the master of those beings. But aren't those things in your world? Can't you turn them all together? Wingo doubted, but then, with a bitter smile, "Yes, nothing is impossible on you. Even I can get through. Naturally, there's a way to get those villages over." Wingo said, but did not express his position. Long Fei chuckled, chuckling quietly. Fortunately, although Wingo knows he has some means, he doesn't know much. If he knows that these beings are in himself now, he doesn't know how to feel. It's simple as long as you promise. I don't need to say anything between you and me, and you shot me several times to help me. Naturally, I can't let you float. Long Fei said, "The next war is really the beginning of cruelty. Compared to today, this can only be regarded as a petty fuss. Wait until that race comes across the sky, fearing that real disaster will come, and relying on the current fighting power of Wingo. In that battle, even if you have the power to protect yourself, it will not be too easy. Unless the wind can be crouched under the sea of blood, you can avoid the spread of that battle. But, according to Wingo's temper, impossible." Long Fei dared to guarantee that as long as those beings came, winning the hook would definitely kill the past. After all, in the face of the sage, he dared to tear his face, and when that race appeared, he would choose a battle if he feared death. Therefore, what Long Fei is thinking now is to make the wind hook fast and strong. Floating? What do you mean? Wind hook is very sensitive. As soon as Long Fei's voice falls, he is sensitive to the problem and asks quickly. Of course, it's about a future battle. Long Fei opened the door to see the mountain and did not intend to conceal it. Let them know now that they could be a bit more prepared and stressed, so they won't be caught off guard in the future. Next, Long Fei will win the dialogue and say to win the hook, "Shit, are all saints? We're a race." No wonder, after breaking through the quasi-holy sacrifice, breaking through that level, I broke free from the of heaven, but I could feel a fatal crisis. Just like the same pair of eyes staring at the sky above the void, can't wait to swallow it here. The original problem is here. Ingo said in a deep voice, without any doubt. Yes, that's why I want to make you the master of the Bone Throne and lead the Bone Legion against the enemy in the future. Long Fei said, what else to say, that's it. Wingo promised, without any hesitation. As soon as Long Fei's heart heard this answer, he was ready to contact the system girl for the next operation. But at this moment, in the mind, the sound of the system reappeared. Ding! The player triggers the second layer of missions, sets up the Lord of the Nether. Mission level, task time, 1 day. Mission rewards, 500 activation rolls, 10,000 Legion coins. Mission penalty, none. The sound of the system dropped suddenly. Long Fei froze. Then his face became extremely weird. On my own side, I just wanted to make Wingo the master of the Bone Legion. I did not expect that the system will now have a mission. What's more, the task is tailored to Win the Hook. After all, the Win Hook is the Lord of the Netherblood Sea, surrendering to the land, and the Spectre of the Nether. Any dark creature must bow its head before the Win Hook. It can be said that if Wingo was willing, he would have unified the government. Master, I'm ready for the Bone Legion in the Legion system. You can just let the Win Hook enter it. Rest assured, he won't notice the secret of the system. At this moment, the system sister said. Chapter 4881. Chapter 4881. Almost at the same time, the system girl's voice appeared at the moment the system voice fell. All this is absolutely no coincidence. System sister, what if I let Wingo control the Bone Legion? Long Fei froze. Master, you think too much. Who tells you that if you control the Bone Legion, you cannot become the Lord of the Nether? The system girl said playfully, with a mysterious smile. Then, in the persecution and doubts of Long Fei, he said again, Master, you are afraid that you don't know yet. The Throne of Bone has been in this stage of evolution. Furthermore, it should now be called the Nether Throne, said the system girl. What? Long Fei was startled. Immediately, he realized that the corners of his mouth were confused. Oh, that's not to say, my mission is done. Long Fei was shocked. For the first time, complete such an easy task. Just like in the previous games, keep accumulating, and then when receiving rewards, get crazy. That's it for now. The task just came out and it was done directly. With this in mind, Long Fei looked directly at Wingo. You converge. I will take you to a place. Long Fei said. There is no doubt that he wins. His eyes are closed and his mind is sinking. Huh. The next moment, the figure of Wingo disappeared out of thin air, and Long Fei also controlled the idea and went directly into the system's space and into the Bone Legion. With a certain figure, Long Fei felt a close consciousness approaching himself. White small bones. Looking up, Long Fei saw the throne of white bones shining with a gleam of crystal light. The host. Above the throne, a voice appeared, just the small white bone. It really became a lot stronger. Long Fei sighed. Not to mention, as far as this throne is concerned, it is no longer a grade compared to the previous one. Although the Bone Throne was overbearing at the time, it could only control the Bone Legion. But now, Long Fei felt that once the throne came out, all the evil charms have to be surrendered. And Wingo also saw the Bone Throne at this time. A look in his eyes. Impossible. This is the original throne of bones. The one I gave you as a gift. How could it be so powerful? Winning doubts. Even some can't believe it. With just a glance, he recognized it. The throne was given to Long Fei after he had been summoned by Long Fei. He did not expect that he had metamorphosed and had overbearing strength. Yes, this is the greeting you gave me. But now it's your turn. Now it should be called the Nether Throne. Long Fei said lightly, and Bai Xiaogu's eyes also turned to the Win Hook and looked up and down, as if watching whether the Win Hook is eligible to sit on this throne. Okay, boy, I'm sitting on this throne. Nether Throne, who should I leave? Wingo laughed loudly and was arrogant, then stepped forward and sat directly on the throne. The next moment, the entire Bone Legion became violent. A man with white bones got up from the endless vastness, with a bone in his hand, kneeling at Wingo. Even the small white bones floated on Wingo's body. For a moment, Long Fei was compelled, and even Long Fei was a little bit emotional. But at this instant, Wingo's expression became complicated. He took a deep look at Long Fei, and his hands merged together. There is no need to guess the next move. The moment he sits on the throne, he has become a systematic person. Long Fei controls the system, in other words, his master. However, before waiting for his next move, Long Fei stopped it directly. You don't have to do this. You're my friend and my brother. After several troubles, you don't need to say more. I'll let you sit on this throne of bones and make you the Lord of the Nether. Naturally, it is absolute trust in you. Long Fei said that he refused to change his mood. Wingo slightly smiled. Rest assured, if you take me win, brother, I will not let you down. After today, I am here to practice, and when you need it, I will kill the enemy for you with a knife in your hand. Wingo said seriously, Okay, I'll wait and see. By the way, this magic sword is just for you. Long Fei gritted his teeth and took out the sword. His current methods are too complicated. Among the evil swords, the war-fighting intentions have been exhausted. For him, the uses are not very useful. But the wind hook is not the same. The attributes of the magic sword and the wind hook match exactly. Only by staying in the wind hook can it truly shine. Okay, no, this is your magic weapon. You gave it to me. What do you use? Wind hook decisively refused. He knew what Long Fei meant, and he could feel his own desire for the Sword of Demon. However, he can't let Long Fei lose because of himself. You don't know my method yet. Next, I will develop new methods. The demon's sword stayed in my hands and had little use. Long Fei said lightly. Wingo also wanted to quit, but Long Fei has not given him this opportunity. The figure flashed and directly withdrew from the Bone Legion. Good practice. I hope to see you next time. On the battlefield, you're still unparalleled. Long Fei's voice came lightly. Winning the hook, holding both hands, the figure receded, sitting directly on the bones. Then, the bones were silent, and the whole space turned into endless vastness again. Only in this endless expanse, a scarlet blood slowly grew. Looking at Long Fei again, consciousness has just returned to the body. In my mind, a systematic voice appeared. Ding! Congratulations to the player to complete the task and create the Lord of the Nether. Ding! Congratulations to the player for the mission reward, 500 activation rolls, 10,000 Legion coins. Ding! It has been detected that the system will increase the Sword of Swords, and the Sword of Swords dissipates. The system's sound keeps falling. And Long Fei also saw his skills bar, and all the skills related to the evil spirit sword disappeared. But it doesn't matter. His goal is himself, whether it is Dantian or the power of eternal life, which has not yet been developed, and the power of the King's Blade has yet to be developed. Focusing on the demon sword is the ultimate goal. It is for this reason that Long Fei gave away the Sword of Demon to Wind Hook. System, keep activating the Legion store. Long Fei did not hesitate to choose activation directly. Long Fei is not a miser with the activation volume. Naturally use it. Ding! Congratulations, players consume 420 activation rolls to activate the Legion store. The Legion store is now fully activated and players can use Legion coins to make purchases. The system's sound dropped again. Activate the Legion totem. Long Fei said, Ding! Congratulations to players activating the Legion totem. The current totem level is level 1. The upgrade requires the activation volume. Legion totem, similar to Xianmen luck. Under the Legion totem, players control the Legion power by 10%. The sound of the system slowly dissipated, and Long Fei's eyes also turned to the Legion totem, and his heart was extremely satisfied. Chapter 4882. Chapter 4882. Long Fei's eyes brightened, and he looked at the gigantic blue dragon. His heart was touched. Yes, This Legion totem is a dragon, like the dragon of the ancient world in his impression. The dragon was extremely embarrassed, and the pride of contempt of heaven and earth was revealed in his eyes, and only one glance made Long Fei's heart touch, as if in his own soul, deeply imprinted by this totem dragon. If the eyes can kill, the eyes of this totem dragon are definitely the only ones. Long Fei was shocked to think. However, the current totem is only one level, and Long Fei can see about 1/3 of the totem level. In other words, the totem can also be upgraded, but only the volume needs to be activated. I don't know what else the system will do. Long Fei thought. This time, 2 tasks have emerged, both of which can be easily accomplished. As the system girl said, the enemy that she is facing now has already been too much stronger than herself. Moreover, there is not much time for growing up at all. Of course, there is not much help about Long Fei's own combat power, but the power that Long Fei controls can be greatly improved. Between thoughts, Long Fei's eyes once again locked the Legion totem. It is self-evident that the power of the Legion totem can improve the overall combat power of the Legion's power under its control. Although only 10%, it is already extremely scary. Thinking of this, what Long Fei thought was whether he could put the dragon into the system. After all, the dragons are already a powerful race between heaven and earth, with powerful power. But in this mythological world, it has long been suppressed by heaven, deprived of the ancient dragon's deity, and fallen into the shrine of Shi Yunbu. Now, both Ao Guang and Ao Yin are already in the realm of the Luo Jingxian, but their combat power is not worthy of them. They can't even beat any of them, let alone Yang Yan. Therefore, at the moment when seeing the Legion totem is the dragon, Long Fei had a plan in mind, that is to include the dragon in the Legion system. Sister of the system, is it possible to include dragons in the system? Long Fei asked. Master, the dragons are yours. You are the master of the ancient world, and even the body of the dragon ancestor. Although the power of the ancient dragon body is deprived, but your essence has long contained the supreme dragon power. It is only time to condense the ancient dragon body problem. Moreover, you are in charge of Zhu Longyin, who is already the lord of the dragon clan. It is the same whether you enter the Legion system or not. Said the system girl. What about the power of the Legion totem? Does it work for dragons? Long Fei asked. This is the focus of his attention. Now it's only a 10% bonus. If you upgrade later, it might be 30% or 50%. This kind of bonus is extremely scary and can even influence the direction of the war situation. The system girl heard Long Fei's thoughts and stopped talking for a while. Master, I can deduce the trend of the system's Legion totem power. During the course of the war, the totem's added power will also be given to the outside world. However, this way of drilling system vulnerabilities will definitely cause other aspects of the system. After a while, the system's sister said. The words of the system's sister made Long Fei's heart startled. According to the sister of the system, the blessing of the Legion totem can act on real power. Fuck, that's great. The picture flashed in Long Fei's mind, and his heart became excited. You deduced first, and I'll talk about it later. Long Fei said, according to the virtue of the system, if it is really promoted by the system's sister, it will definitely dig a pit in another place. Pit yourself. In any case, Long Fei is ready for this hand. After all, there is not much time left. At this point, Long Fei's mind also withdrew and headed towards one of the dragon courts. Here, there is also Master Xuanzang and Xiao Susu. By now, they can finally be treated for them. In a matter of thought, Long Fei directly opened the secret room and came to the two. At this time, Xuanzang still guarded his master, and when he saw Long Fei coming, his eyes finally recovered a bit of glory. She was able to feel the horrible fighting atmosphere outside before, but she herself was seriously injured. After refining the blood of Long Fei, although the recovery has been almost the same, the kind of fighting is different from the previous Yang Yan. It is the Taoism that can destroy the world, even if her shot was nothing but a mantis. Is the matter resolved? Xuanzang said. The tone was extremely bland, as if the result was in her mind. It was a foregone conclusion. Of course, it's just a few saints. It's not a big deal. Long Fei said lightly. Regarding the means of the saints, they did not say anything about the fighting process, let alone the crisis they were in. Of course, Long Fei didn't say much about the upcoming war. How is your master? Long Fei asked. It's still the same way, although the vitality is still alive, and the power of your essence and blood also allows its vitality to rise rapidly. But there was no sign of awakening. Xuanzang said. Long Fei frowned. Looking at a woman who was still in a coma, like a dead person, Long Fei was puzzled. What is he practicing? Allows the ancestor of Mingyi to so deliberately use her practice to stimulate Mingyi so that she falls into the heart. Long Fei thought to himself, couldn't understand it at all. Generally speaking, you have your own essence and blood, and as long as you don't die, even serious injuries can be repaired. Xiao Susu is okay to say that, after all, there was an outbreak of power that was not his own, and the source was damaged, so he will continue to be unconscious now. But Xuanzang's master made Long Fei a little confused. Master, she has been awake long ago. It was only because of another force that restricted her that she is now in a coma. It can be said that it should be canceling with the existence of another force, or even depriving her of her existence, said the system girl. Long Fei hesitated and couldn't help asking. Another existence is banning her existence? You mean Si Hong? Long Fei asked tentatively. Instantly, Long Fei came to realize. Master, if it wasn't for your essence, she would be dead now. It can be said that it is because of your essence that she has the capital to compete with herself. The system girl said again. What now? Do you want me to kill Si Hong? Long Fei asked with a frown. If it is really a battle between the ontology and her, the only result is that there can only be one between the two. However, at this moment, an unexpected scene of Long Fei happened again, and the system voice appeared again. Ding, congratulations to the player to trigger the third ring mission. Reshape the true Buddha in the world and condense the Kuan Yin Buddha. The system's sound fell suddenly. Chapter 4883. Chapter 4883. Mission level. Mission time, half a month. Quest reward, 1,000 activation rolls, 50,000 Legion coins. Quest punishment, the death of Guanyin. Long Fei froze. Another task was triggered. Sister of the system, isn't the system today a little weird, and triggering tasks is a bit frequent? Long Fei asked. Master, have you forgotten that the system was trimmed for a month before? Now it is just to make up for the silence of this month. The system girl explained. Long Fei had settled in his heart. Immediately, he looked directly at the task panel. This time the mission was extraordinary. The first two missions were without any punishment, and the time was only 1 day. He even said that he had accumulated enough to complete the task in seconds. But this one is different. Although I already know that Xian Zhang's master is the goal of the task, I don't know how to operate it. And this time the mission also broke the perception of Long Fei. Long Fei even suspected that all the rumors about the bodhisattva he saw on the earth were the clone of Si Heng, which was left by the master of Xianzong in front of him. Otherwise, the system will not directly define this person as Guanyin. It seems necessary to take a trip to Lingshan. Long Fei thought lightly. Fortunately, this time the mission has half a month, so don't worry too much. Then, Long Fei's eyes turned, looking at Tushan Xiaosu, looking at the still red nine-tail. Long Fei's pain was beyond words. If it wasn't for Long Ting, if it wasn't for herself, she might still be the innocent little girl who didn't have to face these at all. Thinking of this, Long Fei felt extremely guilty. Sister of the system, let's not talk about the task first. Anyway, there's still half a month. Let us take a look first, how to treat her. Long Fei said. He waited for the system to wake up and waited for a month, in order to get a cure for Tushan Xiaosu from the sister of the system. Master, I'm not saved. She forcibly reversed mana, burned demons and demons, forcibly gave birth to 9 tails, and exhausted all vitality. Moreover, Even after his death, no soul remained. If it weren't for your essence and blood that kept her alive, I'm afraid it would have died out. The system girl said, constantly shaking her head. What? Hopeless? Long Fei froze, and the whole person was stuck on the spot. A blank mind. These three words have an even greater impact on Long Fei than the son-in-law's refining demon pot. I couldn't save it, Nuo murmured to herself, unable to believe it. Immediately afterwards, everything came to mind after meeting Xiao Susu. From that little girl who walked barefoot and clanged, to her burning demon spirit, burning demon soul, and fighting for Long Ting, everything was vivid. From carrying Su Su to Qingqiu, from taking her to the Dragon Palace, watching her as a miser to evacuate the treasure house of the Dragon Palace, to watching her bleed blood and fight Yang Yang. Everything, like a dream, passed in Long Fei's mind. No, it's impossible. System girl, the system is almighty, and she will definitely be able to rescue her. You say, no matter what the price is, as long as I could save Xiao Susu, I don't want to. At all costs. Long Fei's heart was extremely unwilling, a kind of sky-high anger breeding on his heart. He said sharply. At this moment, even Xuanzang felt unexpected. She has never seen such a dragonfly. In the impression, no matter what Long Fei is facing, he is always going forward and never shrinks. But now, like a child, helpless and struggling. Long Fei, what happened to you? Xuanzang quickly stepped forward and hugged Long Fei. Such a dragonfly makes her feel bad. Of course, she naturally did not know that Long Fei was talking to the system at this time. I thought it was Long Fei who checked it and found that there was no cure, and his mind collapsed. But Long Fei was still nightmare. Looking at Xuanzang, who was hugging him, his eyes were soft, all the toughness that insisted on collapsed instantly, and the whole person collapsed. He worked hard all his life, conquered his life, and never yielded, in order to kill a pure land and protect the people around him. But unexpectedly, until now, important people have disappeared from their lives. Thinking of this, Long Fei's mind was almost collapsed. Puff! A spit of blood spit out. This scene was even more shocking to Xuanzang, and his spirit was even more flustered. Long Fei, what happened to you? You don't have to be okay. Xuanzang said quickly. As early as in the world after the Temple of Eternal Life, Xuanzang had already been interested in Long Fei. Later, Long Fei reappeared on the earth, and the gods descended from earth to expel her enemies. At that time, all her thoughts were on Long Fei. Nowadays, although her master always wants it, it can be said that Long Fei is more unable to give up than Long Fei. At this time, it wasn't just Xuanzang who was shocked and flustered. In the system girl looked at Long Fei's changes, and the whole person was even more frightened. While the connection between the host and the system has been disrupted, what is going on? Does this woman have such a big impact on her master? The system girl couldn't panic, and felt that she couldn't even wake up Long Fei's mind, and even directly thought of using the power of the system to force a shot. No, I can't control that much. Even if the result is to dissipate, I must not let the owner get into trouble. The system girl's eyes were firm. Then the eyes began to change, and the data flashed wildly. And the entire system space is beginning to change at this time. Especially on the task panel, new tasks have appeared. Ding! Congratulations to the player for triggering the main mission and saving the nine-tailed fox. Mission level. Mission time, 10 years. Mission rewards. System brains wake up. Task punishment. The body of the nine-tailed fox died, and the system's brains disappeared. Mission. Supreme Plane. The birthplace of the system. There's a soul system layer stranded to get the soul system, and the body of the nine-tailed fox can be resurrected. The sound of the system began to ring. Long Fei also woke up from the confusion. System task? Save a nine-tailed fox? Long Fei's eyes gradually returned to clear, and his heart moved directly into the system. But as soon as he entered the system, Long Fei discovered the anomaly. Quiet. There is no longer a girl's voice. When Long Fei saw the introduction of the system task, the whole person was directly at the spot. System girl. Deeply. Seeing everything clearly, Long Fei had already guessed that such a mainline task must be activated after the system girl paid. The purpose is to enable him to activate and treat to Shan Xiaosu. Chapter 4884. Chapter 4884. Anxiety, guilt, weakness, all kinds of emotions breed in Long Fei's heart. Who would have thought that the heavenly sage did not make Long Fei bow his head? The heavenly Taoist ancestor failed to make Long Fei mourn, and even the horrible ethnic group in the winning hook did not let Long Fei wince. Long Fei almost lost heart because of a word. But in fact, such a dragonfly is himself. He acted in his life without fear, but the most feared was his own woman and brother, and all the people around him were aggrieved. Such a fierce force, from Tianwu mainland fight to the present, is to protect. The departure of Tu Shan Xiaosu became the last straw to overwhelm Long Fei's heart. Fortunately, at the last moment, the sound of the system appeared, opening up a new main line and letting him recover. But Long Fei knew how much the system girl had paid for herself. "I'm sorry, system girl. I'm letting you down. But don't worry. It won't be long before I will step into the Supreme Plane, complete the mission, and let you recover." Long Fei thought firmly. This time, the system girl won for him. Now that he can recover, is also the system girl who uses his own wisdom to exchange for him. If he didn't work hard again, wouldn't he have failed everything? In an instant, the fighting spirit in Long Fei's eyes reappeared. Gaze turned and looked at Xianzong. "Relax, I'm fine. However, your master is still in a coma for a while. However, I can guarantee that it will not be more than half a month. Within half a month, I must have a way to make your teacher awake." Long Fei said firmly. For half a month, he had absolute confidence to complete this task. "Long Fei, although my teacher is important, you are more important." Xuanzang's voice was soft and comforting. The change in a moment just made her nervous. "I'm afraid that Long Fei will have any accident. Even now, I can't help but persuade. Anyway, it was just an accident just now. But next time, you don't have to keep your master. I just need to go to Lingshan to rescue your master. You may follow me. Maybe there will be any chance." Long Fei said, "He still has the great tradition. However, the power of the great inheritance is not suitable for everyone. But the limit of an emperor's inheritance is only a quasi-sanctification stage, such as the current Xinyuanzi and others. If they want to go further, they still have to look at their own fortune." "It is good," Xuanzang said in a deep voice, without any hesitation. She can also feel that the enemies facing Long Ting are getting stronger and stronger, and her cultivation is not enough. Not to mention a head-to-head battle. Even keeping oneself is a problem. But before that, there is still something to do. You will find Xian Jade and Xiao Yuer tomorrow, and I will help them improve first," Long Fei said lightly, with a serious face. For a moment, Xianzong felt inexplicably that Long Fei had changed, and she was calm and calm. She smiled as if she had changed a person. "It is good. Xuanzong is extremely intelligent. Although he is not good at talking, he can see at a glance that Long Fei has a mind. So I promised cleanly and didn't say much anymore, but just held Long Fei in my arms." Long Fei, too lazy to think about it, closed his eyes directly, curled up in Xianzang's arms, and fell asleep. He is too tired. From the time of entering mythology, either spent in battle or during the mission, the entire human spirit is in a state of extreme tension. At this moment, the silence of the system girl, the activation of the new main line, Long Fei, it is also clear that his battle is far from over, but is about to usher in a new beginning. Time flies. When Long Fei opens his eyes again, Xianzong is no longer around. Instead, Xian Yu and Xiao Yuer looked at Long Fei with anticipation. "Bad guy, you finally woke up, and you fell asleep for 7 days. If I don't wake up, I should let some seniors outside to come in and see what happens." Xuan Yu said, "Yeah, brother Long Fei, if it wasn't for Xuan Yuan's sister that you were all right, I couldn't help but want to wake you up." Xiao Yuer said, "What, 7 days? Long Fei froze. The result was completely unexpected. With this consciousness, he slept very comfortably, dreamed back to the earth, and traveled back to the ancient world, and finally on the top of the mountain, and his family and children never lived. I never thought that this sleep went straight to sleep for 7 days. Long Fei didn't know. This was not a comfort to himself, so that he could enjoy the warmth he wanted to feel in his dreams. What Long Fei does not know is that at this time in the ancient world, the form was equally severe. Because of the difference in time flow rate, Long Fei's entry into Long Maishan is only the past 10 days or so. I don't know why. I seem to feel that Long Fei is right next to us. Lu Luoxi's eyes were full of thoughts. It was only a few days, but she felt as if she had passed away, always feeling what happened to Long Fei. Me too, I don't know why. It's as if Long Fei is next to me. It feels so real. Xiao Tian also said. As soon as this statement was made, the remaining people also changed their looks. Uncontrollably, a look of surprise appeared on his face. This is not accidental. I am afraid that something happened to Long Fei and he wanted to tell us. Lu Luoxi said. The goddess and other people have just left and entered the realm of Daong. This kind of thing is happening now, making them feel helpless for a while. What then? Otherwise, we will enter Long My Mountain again? Xiao Tian said. No, it seems that Long Fei had already anticipated something, so he would enter Long My Mountain alone. If even Long Fei can't get things done, then we go. It is also a hindrance, making Long Fei more difficult. Lu Luoxi said. She knew that Long Fei was powerful, so she knew that now was definitely not the time to be emotional. If there's really something that Long Fei can't solve, then they go and only drag Long Fei. You can't do nothing at all, just wait like that. Xiao Tian and others had worries on their faces and could not sit still. Yes, just waiting. Our kind of induction is just as sudden. At least we didn't feel any danger from Long Fei, did we? Lu Luoxi comforted. But as a woman of Long Fei, on top of this mountain, apart from Long Fei's parents, she has the right to speak. She knows her responsibility is to help Long Fei be optimistic about these people. For a moment, everyone was silent, and the picture turns again in the world of myth. Long Fei looked at Xian Yu and Xiao Yuer in front of him, and his heart moved. Xian Jade, I still have the inheritance of the Emperor. Although I can't make you the Zeons of the heavens, I should be able to protect myself. Long Fei said lightly. Chapter 4885. Chapter 4885. Luo Yuan and Zhuzuo. Now there are 4 great emperors inherited from Long Fei. In addition to Luo Yuan and Zhuzuo, there is the Emperor Yinyang. However, in the course of the heavens and earth, the process was too fast, and Long Fei had not completely passed the inheritance into his hands. However, the Emperor Luo Yuan had been killed by him, and the inheritance of Emperor Luo Yuan was naturally obtained by him. However, the complete inheritance of the remaining Emperor Zhuzuo and Emperor Yinyang failed to obtain Long Fei, and then the system collapsed and was reborn, and even the mission was gone, and the system of the 13 emperors naturally became history. Fortunately, this power of inheritance was obtained by Long Fei and naturally existed. As for the inheritance power of Emperor Zhuzuo, as early as when he met Xiao Yuer, the system has been trimmed this month, and it has already appeared. Obviously, the sister of the system gave you a performance. It could be said that the girl in the system accidentally resolved a worry of Long Fei. Of course, it is not just the power of Emperor Zhuzuo. Even the inheritance of Emperor Yinyang is deduced, but now, Long Fei can't find anyone who can really inherit it. These 2 inheritance powers are really good for you. Xian Jade, you have a good temper, and Luo Yuan's method is just as fierce as the charge, which is just right for you. Long Fei said. Long Fei's 9-strike power is still very impressive. How can one shot provoke the existence of a planet? Xuan Yu is the most suitable for cultivation now. As for Xiaoer, your heart is innocent, and you have the soft snake of the chain snake I made for you. Born to discern the truth in the world, and to control the power of this turbidity, you can use the power of sin and sin in the world even further. Long Fei said, and then the power of two kinds of inheritance was broken into the hearts of the two. Instantly, both eyes were happy. Relax, big bad guy, it won't let you down. Me too, brother Long Fei. When we go out, we will be able to help you guard the dragon court. Xian Yu and Xiao Yuek said. The resolute faces of the two people can be seen at a glance, not just talking. Long Fei nodded faintly. Guarding Long Ting, Long Fei doesn't need them at all. Especially before going through the experience, it was the secret of Long Fei's determination that he would never let his woman fall into crisis. Then Xuan Yu and Xiao started to retreat, and Long Fei came to Long Ting. At this time, the three emperors and Jin Yuan Zi also chose a room to start training. Wait quietly for the next move. Three emperors, Senior Jin Yuan, Long Fei has something to ask for. Long Fei said, lowering his attitude. Even if Long Fei's combat power is already above a few people, Long Fei has not performed too proudly. After all, these people originally chose to stand on their own side when they were in crisis. How could Long Fei be chilling? Long Fei, you finally woke up. During these 7 days, great changes took place between heaven and earth. Above the court of heaven, the Jade Emperor's temperament changed drastically, and the iron blood was general, clearing the court of heaven. Even the sage, who was too high, was imprisoned at his feet. As soon as Fu Shi appeared, he said, "What? Are you two imprisoned? Jade Emperor? He is such a big deal." Long Fei stunned. Some incredible. In just 7 days, how can such a shock happen? We have long known that the Jade Emperor is not simple. It is natural to be unique when he can experience so many disasters. However, I still did not expect to underestimate him. Fu Shi Huang said, "Yes, his cultivation has already broken that step. Although he does not know what his word is, it is certain that it is certainly extraordinary. Otherwise, it is impossible to suppress the heaven and earth gods." Xin Yuan Huang added, "It seems that we want to replace heaven, and it is a bit difficult." The Emperor Shinong said lightly, with a little worry. Long Fei's expression was a meal, and he sighed when he thought of overturning the skies that day. If the Jade Emperor chooses to erupt at that time, it is still unknown what the results will be. Don't bother. No matter what he's going to do, it is impossible to stop my footsteps. But now, things in heaven can be put aside for a while. I plan to attack Lingshan every day. What do you think? Long Fei said. This point is also considered by Long Fei. Originally, Long Fei wanted to complete the mission only for Zihong. It is conceivable that there is a sage who leads this Buddha in the Pantheon building. It is easy to conquer Lingshan. Therefore, Long Fei was ready to step in one place and directly beat Huanglong. Offensive Lingshan? Long Fei, are you thinking? Fu Shi Huang asked with a serious expression. There is nothing to think about. The saints are no longer attracted, and the saints have left this world. We want to take down Lingshan without hindrance. Long Fei said. The expression was extremely indifferent, but every word revealed extremely confident. Well, now that you have decided, we will naturally not quit. What we need to do is to say that. The three emperors are still hesitating, seeming to have some scruples. But Zhen Yuanzi spoke directly, apparently convinced Long Fei completely. After hearing Zhen Yuan's words, the three emperors had to put away the ideas in their hearts. Three emperors. Is there something wrong? Long Fei asked. The three emperors themselves spoke, and their humane hope was in themselves, so there must be no disadvantages to themselves. They just heard that they were about to attack Lingshan, but they were all silent, which made Long Fei's heart a little incomprehensible. Long Fei, no secret. We also have no good opinion about Lingshan, but the Dharma is also really powerful, but unfortunately, the world as Buddhist gates are mostly hypocritical. But this is not to say that there is no real Buddha in Buddhism. If we directly attack Lingshan, it is also a loss to humanity. Fu Shi Huang said and expressed his thoughts. Long Fei's expression was slightly wrong, but for this sentence, Long Fei did not deny anything. There are still scums in the human race, and it is not impossible for people to truly practice and achieve fruitful positions among the Buddhist monks. What do you mean? Long Fei asked. As the ancestors of the three emperors, Long Fei naturally could not ignore them. It is impossible to abandon the other person's thoughts and to do exactly what he wants. We do and know others, but three of them are born-alive people and have a big cause and effect with my people. Among them, it will also affect the human race. Xinyuan said. 3? Who? Long Fei froze. One is Jizo, the other is Jianglier, and the other is Sun Wukong. Xinyuan said in a deep voice, and Long Fei's expression at this time was also momentarily staggered, and the expressions even read together. Crouching westbound, Long Fei was startled and couldn't help but say. Chapter 4886. Chapter 4886. Long Fei was shocked. The words of the three emperors made Long's heart hesitant. Without it, just because these people are too familiar. Especially the monkey. Long Fei faintly remembered that in the Tianwu continent, the monkey swept enemies with a stick and bombarded the enemy. In other words, without a monkey, Long Fei would not be able to reach today. So shocking. Then where are they now? Long Fei asked. This is the point of the question. Lingshan Long Fei will not let go. His task is at hand, and there is the task of reenacting myth. No matter it is Tianting or Lingshan, it must be cleared. Although Long Fei is not a saint, he has already established humanity and naturally will take into account the impact in this regard. Hidden in hell, imitating the saints of the past, making great aspirations. I'm afraid that we'll be able to become a Buddha. As for Jiang Luer, after he passed the scriptures, he went back to Lingshan. However, it never appeared, as if there were doubts about the law of the Spirit Mountain, and he had to concentrate on understanding the Buddha in his heart. As for Sun Wukong, it is unknown. Said the Emperor Shinno. Although they came out of Huiyun Cave, they were more concerned about the things in the three realms because of their attachment to the human race. Long Fei also paused slightly, turning his mind and saying, so let's find these three people separately, these three people. Lingshan, I can go alone. Long Fei said, the Lingshan can be temporarily stranded, but the mission of Guanyin is urgent. After all, there are only 7 days left. In 7 days, any accident may happen. Long Fei must prepare in advance. But when the three emperors heard it, Long Fei had to go to Lingshan again, and his eyes were helpless. Rest assured, I'm here for Linghang alone. Long Fei said. Now Lingshan has been closed, and everyone is in danger. Both Long Ting and Qin are already a scimitar suspended above their heads. Buddhism giants scattered in their respective dojos also went to Lingshan one after another and could not escape the world. Therefore, if Long Fei wants to find Sihong, he must go to Lingshan. There is no second choice. But when the three emperors heard this, the worry in their eyes disappeared. Of course, they are not afraid of Lingshan, but they are afraid that Long Fei is too violent. If they kill Lingshan directly, they will have a great impact on the human race. Now, I heard that Long Fei was only for Sihong, and my heart was naturally relaxed. Sihong is a giant bodhisattva of Buddha's gate. I am afraid that if you go to Lingshan, you will inevitably have a fierce battle. Fushi Huang said suddenly. Anyway, they dare not. Without this courage, there is no such strength. Long Fei said faintly. The three emperors staggered slightly, and then smiled bitterly. If someone else said this, fearing that it would be universal, no one would think that this person was normal, and they would all think that this person was crazy. But Long Fei said it, but there would not be any violations. He has the qualification and the ability to say this. Long Fei's eyes flashed a disdain at the moment. He didn't know how strong the people in Lingshan were. But since he broke through that step, the saints have not been a problem in front of themselves, let alone them. When thinking of this, Long Fei must have said in his heart, 3 emperors, the matter of the 3 Tibetans will be left to you. Zhen Yuan Seniors assisted you from Fat. You have a land book although the fairyland is large, but there is a land book you can reach where you want to go in a breath. Long Fei said. The four nodded and turned away. When several people left, Long Fei's eyes sank, and he became extremely solemn. The next moment, Long Fei stepped out of the Long Ting's main court, watching Ao Guang, Ao Yin, and others under the shower of Xianmin Qiyun, leading the dragons to practice. His eyes were slightly shocked. Ao Guang, Ao Yin. Long Fei called out. The two immediately awakened from the retreat and looked at Long Fei. Their faces became instantly respectful. Master. Both spoke at the same time. As for Wan Long, he was awake at this time, and he was all stunned, with respect in his eyes. Today I will use the seal of Zulong to open up the supreme talents of ancient dragons for you. The process will be a bit painful, and there's even a life and death crisis. But as long as you can survive it, you will be able to break the world, condense yourself, and become the supreme. Long Fei said directly. He has the seal of ancestors, which contains the ancient will of the dragons in the ancient world. It is the most suitable way to start the dragons to condense themselves. But after all, this is a mythical world. Using the will of the dragons in the ancient world to activate their talents and awaken their physical potential is an attempt in itself. Therefore, Long Fei cannot guarantee whether there is any danger in it. It is only now that the dragon race must undergo transformation. They are too weak, and there is no sense of existence in this mythical world. In this scene, Long Fei never wanted to see it. Moreover, as the dragon's reincarnation win, the dragon family has been given to himself. At that time, one led 1,000,000 ghosts to sweep across Amano, but the dragons under his own hands were vulnerable. At that time, his face was crackling. Sir, we are willing to try and die without regrets. Yes, as long as we can make us stronger, no matter how painful we are willing to do it. After following the adults, our cuisine understands how proud my dragons were in ancient times. Now it becomes like this. In addition to hate, hatred is the hatred for the gods and gods in the heart. Ask the adults to help us wake up and let us be able enemy. For an instant, the dragons roared one by one, and the light of hatred burst out from the huge dragon's eyes. This reaction made Long Fei extremely satisfied. If they had been enslaved by the gods and Buddhas for so long without any hatred, it would have been beyond Long Fei's expectations. Well, since you are willing, then I will give you this opportunity to let you reborn and shake the heavens. Long Fei said, his eyes flashed. Then with a move in his hand, Zhu Longyin emerged directly from the system space. The next moment, Long Fei threw Zhu Longyin into the void, and his gaze was grim. In the name of my dragonfly, give the mythical world the dragon fly back to the ancestors. Taking my essence and blood as the guide, blending the ancestor dragons, meaning the Nirvana dragon family, regenerating the ancient talent. Long Fei Zhenjin had a word and immediately squeezed out dozens of drops of blood from his hand. Alas, at the moment when the essence and blood appeared, it merged directly into the Zulong seal, and at this moment, the Zulong seal directly floated into the void, turned into blood, and then released a horrible and unspeakable will. Roar! Hundreds of thousands of giant dragons roared out of the ancestral dragon seal. Then his eyes sank. Looking at the Wan Long above the dragon court below, a sorrow flashed in the huge dragon head, then dived down, turning into an endless rain of light scattered on the dragon court. Even Ao Guang and Ao Yin were shrouded in it. Chapter 4887. Chapter 4887. Long Fei stood in the air, holding the Zulong seal in his hand, like a real dragon in the world. At this moment, all the dragons said by Long Ting have fallen into a deep sleep. The will of the ancestors and the seal of the ancestors, plus their own blood, is definitely an opportunity for the dragons. As Tong Long Fei himself said, as long as they can survive, they will be able to reborn and recreate the glory of the dragons of the past. However, this process is not necessarily short. Fortunately, it is now on Long Ting. There is a fairy gate and a Long Ting banner. Longfei does not need to worry too much. At this moment, a figure quietly appeared on Long Ting, watching the figure of Long Fei silently. Long Fei turned slightly, saw Tushan Xiaoya's figure. His expression eased slightly. Long Fei, Xiaosu, how's it going? Tushan Xiaoya asked. At this moment, she didn't know whether she should be called Xiaohong or Xiaosu. But no matter which one, it is her close relative. Hearing that Long Fei's expression was dark, and the whole person's mind was disturbed again. Sorry, Long Fei said. The tone was extremely heavy. When Tushan Xiaoya's face changed, the whole person seemed to have lost her pillars and suddenly fell down. Long Fei's eyes were swift, his figure flashed, and he came directly to Tushan Xiaoya and held it in his arms. Why? Haven't you promised me to cure her? With a questioning tone, Tushan Xiaoya was full of helplessness. I said sorry, but I have no choice yet. But don't worry, one day I will resurrect her. Even, repair is far better than today. Long Fei said in a deep voice. The present Tushan Xiaosu has been placed in the system space. As long as the main line of the system remains, there is hope for resurrection. Really, Tushan Xiaoya's eyes brightened. Of course, what I said about Long Fei will definitely come true. Long Fei said, his eyes were like iron, unwavering. Okay, I still say that. As long as you can save her, I'm willing to follow you. Tushan Xiaoya said. Let's not say this first. You want to follow me. You are not strong enough now. Long Fei changed the subject and squared Tushan Xiaoya's figure. This Qingqiu Atlas is the treasure of the spirit fox. I can feel that there is an opportunity for you to wake up Jiawei. I believe that it is most suitable to control it in your hands. Long Fei handed over the Qingqiu Atlas to Tushan Xiaoya. Tushan Xiaoya looked expressionless and looked at Long Fei incredibly. Once upon a time, she dreamed of Qingqiu Atlas and even suggested that as long as Long Fei found Qingqiu Atlas, she was willing to be a woman of Long Fei. But I didn't expect that now that I am down, I am willing to sacrifice myself. Long Fei has not agreed, but I gave the Qingqiu Atlas to myself. For a moment, Tushan Xiaoya's face was extremely dignified. Don't think about it. Xiao Rong should have all the spirit foxes now. It's also time for you to transform your spirit foxes. Moreover, you're the first to follow my Long Ting. I naturally will not let you chill. I hope you will surprise me in the next battle. Long Fei said lightly, soothing Tushan Xiaoya. Of course, if you put it before, Long Fei would never mind accepting Tushan Xiaoya. But now, not when your children are in love. Tushan Xiaoya focused on her head, and there was a rare softness in her eyes. Slowly peck on Long Fei's cheek, then turn away. Calmly, as if nothing had happened. Long Fei was stunned, feeling a touch of wetness on his face and holding his fists. This time, Sister System gave me a chance to dissipate myself. How can I let you down? Since I'm fine this time, let's start with Ling Shan. Long Fei's eyes condensed, and she sank. Land government, endless purgatory. The water of the Styx has dissipated, but it is not dry, but moved. In the first battle of the Dragon Court, he became the most powerful between heaven and earth. For the first time, one also showed his terrifying strength and true history. All these things made the ancestors of the Mingi River frightened directly, and without any mention, directly with Dongyue Taihao, they moved out of the prefecture and fled directly to the monster. For now, the only thing that gives them a sense of security is the demon. Moreover, Yao Peng, the demon master of the demon clan, had a cause and effect with him that year, and the two were also old knowledge, so they could only go to the demon clan. With the withdrawal of the two, the entire prefecture also took complete control of the winning hands. The capital city of Badu, the winner and the loser stood, looking at the mighty land government with sharp eyes. The emperor is ready. The infernal purgatory of the prefecture has been opened, and the endless power of injustice contained in the millennia has completely awoken. Once a great enemy of the Qin dynasty, under the arrangement of the emperor, it was re-derived and turned into a ghost. Now, they have divided themselves and occupied every corner of the land government. Bai Qi said, "Yes, I hope they don't disappoint you, and they will let Ye's millions of Qin soldiers leap into the sky." Wen said faintly, "If Long Fei is here, he will definitely feel shocked. You might even feel like winning. It's too crazy." Thousands of years ago, he was on the Earth government, unified the six, unified the world. Now, in order to train soldiers, they once reunited their former enemies and appeared in the seven kingdoms. However, no madness, no Buddhahood. It takes such a large amount of capital to win. It is conceivable that once the seven kingdoms are destroyed, the combat power of 1 million Qin soldiers will inevitably be exploited to the maximum. At that time, even if it does not reach the level mentioned by Wen, it will not be too far apart. At this time, Bai Qi suddenly said again, "After the Yinshan mountain, in the endless hell, there have been bursts of Buddha light recently. It seems that Jizo should have achieved results." Bai Qi said, "Jizo? Lingshan is a matter of Long Fei. We don't need to intervene. However, you can pass this message to Long Ting. At least you should let him know. As for how to choose, it's up to him." Wen said faintly, "Yes." Bai Qi arched his hand and stepped back. "Come on. I have waited too long for this day. At that time, I once said that I was born to protect Huaxia, immortal forever, and incarnate as Dragon Soul, to bless Huaxia forever. But now, this sentence should be changed. The widow would rather die, but let you, the corpse is everywhere." Winning his eyes for a moment, killing the sky. The picture turns again. At this time, Long Fei has come to Lingshan. Lingshan seals the mountain and disappears between heaven and earth. If it is not Long Fei who has broken that step and has the eyes of eternal life, it will break the imagination of the world. "Long Fei, we come to Lingshan so grandly. Is there really no problem?" Xuanzang asked. At this moment, she didn't want Long Fei to take any risks. "Don't worry, it's just Lingshan. Don't worry. As for whether Lingshan is alive, it depends on their choice this time." Long Feiyo said, finally looking at the location of Lei Yin and Lingshan, with Xuanzang, stepped out. Lingshan Buddhas, Longting Long Fei, came to collect debts. Long Fei said loudly. Chapter 4888. Chapter 4888. Long Fei's voice came out, extremely arrogant. The voice of one person crushed the thunder of the heavens. Rumble. At an instant, the ups and downs of spirit on Lingshan suddenly condensed because of Long Fei's words, as if uneasy. On the Lingshan mountain, the giant Buddhist monk headed by Rulai changed his face. Thinking that before Long Fei was in trouble in the heavenly court, they sent fear of staying with Sun and Pu Xian, but now the cause and effect cycle. Long Fei ascended to Lingshan. Crazy, he has turned the sky and earth and fought against the Holy One. Why wouldn't he let me go? I must report, this person has a fierce character and never thought about letting me out of Lingshan. Abominable, how good is this? This son is already comparable to a saint. We Lingshan cannot bear it at all. Within the thunderbolt, countless changes in the face of Lingshan monks. Although they are Buddhas, they're not really pure in the six roots. They really have no desires, no surprises. Faced with the threat of death, they will also be afraid. They have definitely entered that realm and will definitely not be embarrassed with them. But they were wrong, and they were very wrong. Long Fei never wanted to let them go. This time, if it was not for the three emperors to persuade, Long Fei would not go to Lingshan by himself, directly go to the army, and completely wipe out. All of a sudden, everyone on Lingshan was frightened and terrified. My Buddha, how is this good? Now even the saints are dead. Who can save us from this world? My Buddha, this time the dragonfly is not good. We must be prepared. This time a dragonfly is just one person. It's better that we open Lingshan and save him together. I don't believe it. We can concentrate all our strength in Lingshan, and we can't save him. Voices reappeared, with fear and indignation, and desperate. Rilai laughed. Spell? What do you use to fight it? Even the saints could not stop Long Fei. How could they be blocked by their Lingshan? But at this moment, above the Lingshan, a figure slowly got up. Amitba finally came. I am a Buddha, and I have a feeling in my heart today. One of my calamities has arrived. It seems that it should be related to Long Fei. Si Hang stood up and folded his hands. Huh? Xiang Bodhisattva, why do you say that? Rilai asked with a certain expression on her face. My Buddha should know that I once cut a good corpse, but I didn't care about it. But I never thought that the good corpse has supernatural understanding and conforms to the Buddha's Tao. He walked out of the world in the name of the Buddha. All beings are suffering. Therefore, I joined the heavenly courts to kill him. I never thought that her mana was comparable to mine. After being seriously injured, I was imprisoned under the sticks. I just didn't expect that this person had an intersection with Long Fei. I had already annihilated her will, but I felt that arrogant and extremely huge energy entering her body, and she wrapped her will. Now it seems that it should be the strength of Long Fei. So Long Fei came this time. No matter what the outcome of Lingshan, I'm in danger. Si Hang's eyes were deep. His practice is also extremely transcendent, and after practicing Buddhism, he is proficient in cause and effect, so he has deduced some clues. It is so, but Sihang Bodhisattva, rest assured that you are my giant spirit mountain. We cannot send you to Long Fei for the safety of the spirit mountain anyway. For example, his face was equally firm, and at this time, the whole Lingshan was roaring again. Lingshan, do you want to be a tortoise? I'll give you a minute. Lingshan will not open, and you will be at your own risk. Long Fei's voice came again, still arrogant, as if an ultimatum issued directly in Lingshan. At this moment, the people above Lingshan were all angry. Once upon a time, their spirit mountain was high, and the first beings worshipped. But now, Long Fei alone pulls them down from the altar, making them afraid to speak. Even if Long Fei hits the door, they dare not say a word. Well, let's open the Buddha's door. Some things can't be avoided in the end, Rilai said in a deep voice. At this time, he was really afraid of Long Fei's shot. Long Fei's realm was beyond them. As soon as he shot, the whole Lingshan was afraid that it would be ruined. Instead, he might as well open the door and see what happened to Long Fei. At the next moment, as Rilai moved, Lingshan's gas was agitated, and the whole Lingshan began to emerge slowly. Above the void, Long Fei watched Lingshan appear silently. Rumble. Suddenly, the thunder rolled. The main body of Lingshan, the Leyin Temple, also appeared in front of it. Whizzing. At this time, the gate of Leyin Temple also opened suddenly. Two Buddhist monks stepped out of it and watched Long Fei above the void, folded their hands together, and looked respectfully. Welcome to the Lord of the Dragon Court. My Buddha has opened the door of the Buddha, waiting to be driven. The Comer said, respectfully, and did not dare to make trouble. Long Fei stunned, a little aggressive. The relationship between him and Lingshan has long been like a fire and water. Either you die or the degree of my life. Even if I went to Lingshan today, Long Fei didn't expect to be good. However, Lingshan's attitude made Long Fei feel wrong. What he thought was quite different. Long Fei, what kind of medicine is this for? Lingshan will be so kind. Xuanzang said, apparently did not expect Lingshan to have such an attitude. In her perception, Lingshan would either be unable to shrink or go out to fight, but she did not expect to be so humble. It is completely different from the Buddhist gate in her impression. But Long Fei, with a chuckle at the corner of his mouth. They do this only to prove that they are not stupid. If they guess well, they are ready to treat Si Hong as an abandoned son. Long Fei said lightly. Long Fei was not surprised that Si Hong could perceive it. After all, their cultivation is not weak. Although they did not make that step, they're not far from that step. Moreover, the Buddhist monk practiced cause and effect. Now he came with the cause himself, and it would be strange if he could not perceive the effect. As soon as he thought about it, Long Fei didn't have any jealousy in his heart. He took Xuanzang and walked towards Lingshan step by step. Upon entering the huge thunder roared constantly, as if hostile to Long Fei. Long Fei glanced around his mouth and looked up at Lane Temple. A thunder of heaven and earth is brewing in it, and under the nourishment of Lingshan Qiyun, thunder sounds continue to erupt. Of course, this is also a power of their practice, so that the power of the Buddhist monks can suppress evil and have natural restraint against demons. The Buddhas of Lingshan have already surrendered, and you dare to make a force by the saint who has been inserted here? Long Fei said softly. A flash of violent light flashed in his eyes. Then he leapt forward and entered the endless spiritual mountain luck. Scatter! With a loud scream, Long Fei fiddled with both hands, and countless Lingshan Qiyun began to flee, disappearing directly, leaving only a thunder, which was presented to Long Fei. Today's thunder, it's my turn, Long Fei said faintly, walking quietly in the courtroom, in one step, walking in front of the thunder of this day, holding up with one hand, invincible posture, crushed down. Chapter 4889. Chapter 4889, Above the Lingshan. All the Buddhist monks dared to anger and not speak. They watched Long Fei take away the sound of thunder, but said nothing. They knew that Lingshan was not the former Lingshan. Even today, what their fate is, they are all in the hands of Long Fei. They cannot help it at all. Long Fei was running wild, stepping into Lane Temple step by step. No, Lane Temple at this time is no longer Lane. If you miss today, you can only call it a temple. Upon entering it, Long Fei could feel the hatred and injustice of the Lingshan Buddhists. In their eyes, bitter hatred was revealed, but they could only look at each other and face Long Fei without saying a word. Ba, Lord of the Dragon Court, you have established the world. Why bother with my spirit mountain? Just then, Rilai began to speak. Above the lotus platform, Rilai Baoxiang's solemnity, when given a glance, felt extremely compassionate. Unfortunately, under the eyes of eternal life, you can see through at a glance. Everyone said that the Buddha has 1,000 faces, unable to face no self and no beings. But Rilai, don't you think it's interesting to use such a method in front of me? Long Fei said lightly. No matter what they present, Long Fei can see through the essence at a glance. And what he sees is the nature of Rilai. Ba, the Lord of the Dragon Court, is serious. My Buddha is compassionate, and this is what this seat should have. Ru said, This seat? Do you dare to call a seat in front of me? Long Fei said with a cold eye. Extremely violent. I have the soul esteem and directly break the final calmness of Rilai. Lord of the Dragon Court, I have given you enough face. What do you want? Although you are capable of fighting saints, there are some things that you see ain't count if you say, you should go to my Lingshan today for the Bodhisattva of mercy. Let me tell you, it is useless. Even if the person is resurrected or even replaced, it is useless. There is no endorsement of Buddhism. He can only be regarded as a person outside the Buddha and can never be corrected. For example, it seems to want to persuade the dragonfly, gives up his thoughts. I am the Buddha who Long Fei wants to create, and use you to seal it? Long Fei asked in return, without giving face at all. He had thought about this problem for a long time, but since the system has given the task, Long Fei has to do it anyway. Okay, Lord of the Dragon Court, since you were so arrogant, then you have nothing to say today. What do you want to say directly? I'll have to live and die long ago without fear of you. Rilai's face changed with a little anger. Several times, he was beaten by Long Fei, and he was worthless in the face of Lingshan Buddha. Even Buddha is angry. Can break life or death. In this case, you lie to them. You are nothing but a break is life and death. If you come, don't think that I don't know. You in front of you are just an avatar. Your true body doesn't know how to run. Where did it go? So, even if it is dead, it is just a clone, and it has no effect on you. Long Fei sneered. The moment he entered this, he already understood the problem. So he was aggressive, in order to let Rilai admit it, in order to expose Rulai's true face to the public. Sure enough, with the sound of Long Fei falling, countless Buddhas and Arhats in Lane Temple all looked at Rulai. Rulai smiled slightly. Long Fei, you don't have to sow dissension. How this seat is done is my business. Moreover, I believe that the Buddhas can understand. After all, I am for Lingshan unification. Ru said. But when Long Fei heard this, it was a cold hum. Tian is not shameful, but it is so. No more nonsense. You should be grateful. If it wasn't for you standing on the Lingshan mountain for many years and having a lot of involvement with the human race, otherwise I wouldn't be here alone, but the army would be under pressure to completely annihilate your Buddha door. Long Fei said, eyes closed. Turn and look at Sihong. Sihong also folded his hands. The Lord of the Dragon Court, why are you fighting against each other? This is my own business. Her words, if it is really feasible, will not be suppressed by me. Si Heng flashed a bitterness on his face and said, It's your own business? So, you need to use the sticks to suppress it? Long Fei sneered. This sentence is a joke. He was sure that the reason why Si Heng wanted to suppress at all costs was because of fear. Fear that Master Xuanzang's Tao would suppress him in turn, and his ending would certainly not be better. Then, this is the sin of Heiha. Why are you bothering me? Si Heng's tone changed slightly. He understood that Long Fei arrived today, and he would not let him go, just a word, but just want to do the final struggle. Now, seeing Long Fei talking about the Ming River, the emotions in his heart were difficult to suppress, and he asked directly, I do want to let go of Mingi, but you do the same. If you are really fair between life and death, there are natural ways of doing things, and whoever has the strongest path will stay. But you can use the heaven to summon Mingi. Suppress it, that's all, it. Long Fei said. Between words, the killing intention on his body is also surging. Suddenly, Si Heng's face was full of panic. He looked for Rulai in general. My Buddha, save me. You said before that Lingshan coexisted and died with me. Si Heng was really scared. At that time, Ling Ran stood up just to provoke the words to protect him. Now that Long Fei's breath has changed, he has oppressed him and can't breathe, so he can't help but ask for mercy. Unfortunately, he was wrong. Wrong too far. If Rulai really has the determination to protect him, he will never stay here. Sihong Bodhisattva, all the causes of fate will be doomed to heaven, because heaven is the reason. Since your Lord of the Dragon Court comes to ask for sin, it is this seat, and it is difficult to protect you. Let him go. Rulai's face remained unchanged, calmly said. As for the other people in Lingshan, at this time, they did not dare to speak. Although they were a bit dissatisfied with Rulai, they also wanted to see this result. After all, they were not willing to accept it because they were in crisis for kind flight. Seeing this scene, the bitterness on Si Heng's face was even more intense. How he is still unclear. He has become the abandoned son of Lingshan, the abandoned son of Buddhism. Long Fei, I can go with you, or even let her avoid Fengzheng Road, but you have to give me a chance and let me talk to her. If her words are really stronger than me, I will give up instinct she completed her. Si Heng said gently, grasping the last straw for life. Good. Long Fei agreed without hesitation. This is the opportunity of Master Xianzong, but also his own chance. He knew that by killing Si Heng, Xianzong's master might be able to wake up, but in that case, his task would not be able to be accomplished at all. But if it is Master Xianzong who defeated Si Heng by herself, then she is a fair person. Your own tasks will naturally be completed. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.